Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Konoha, my skill upgrade experience remains the same. Chapter 81. In the boundless pure white illusion space, Uchiha Shinta and Tsunade stand in the air. In front of the two of them is a piece of land with a round sky, green grass on it, and an invisible boundary membrane separating the inside and the outside. Flying from the inside to the outside, you can only approach infinitely, and you can never fly out. And the two people's foothold is outside the boundary membrane, which can be called Tianweishan. Looking from the outside to the inside, everything inside is clear at a glance. But when looking from the inside to the outside, the boundary membrane is like a simulated starry sky, and only the blue sky and white clouds can be seen. Is that how you saw me in the illusion back then? Tsunade's neck was reddish, and she looked at the ground in front of her. The white snake that Orochimaru had turned into was being watched by a giant eagle. She ran for her life, but gradually had no way out. She didn't beg for mercy, nor did she praise. Instead, she looked at the life and death struggle of the eagle and snake in front of her, and asked without changing her face about the scene when Uchiha Shinta cast the illusion Narukumi technique on her 4 years ago. Uchiha Shinta turned her head to the side and observed Tsunade carefully. Although she was in the illusion space and under his complete control, she couldn't tell whether she asked this intentionally or intentionally. Of course not. At that time, I was just a stick figure next to you. He didn't bother at all, and just told the truth. When performing the Narukumi series of illusions, you can see the most feared things in people's hearts. As a study, and determined to become a doctor, Uchiha Shinta, how can you not watch it from the side? It's never about wanting. 8 trigrams. Uchiha katakana middle dot Rakuko katakana middle dot Shinta swears by Naoki's chastity vow. As the creator of illusion, I can be the wind, the cloud, the grass, the eagle, or even the snake. Shinta took Tsunade's hand, and stepped into the round sky ahead. The two of them turned into white clouds in an instant, floating leisurely in the sky, watching the giant black eagle swoop down, grab the white snake, and fly upwards. When the giant black eagle flew to the height of the white cloud they turned into, it seemed to be attracted by 2 connected clouds, and circled around them non-stop. Uchiha Shinta and Tsunade could see that Orochimaru's transformed white snake struggled between the giant eagle's thick claws, but couldn't break free, and was finally pecked directly at the triangular head by the annoying black eagle. Orochimaru Episode 1, Failed. When Orochimaru's consciousness falls into the dark Setsuna, the illusion space built around him also turns black and white in Setsuna. Maybe for a moment, maybe forever, when Tsunade feels the light again, she has changed from a leisurely white cloud to a fresh green grass. The sudden change in space and shape, as well as the special sense brought by being a grass, made her subconsciously call out the most profound name in her mind. Shinta, I am here. A green grass of the same kind next to it bent down and touched her, and the plain voice sounded, which was indeed very powerful and reassuring in her ears. This illusion, centered on Orochimaru's will, relies on his fear of death. In illusion, I blur logic, cause and effect, and time. The giant black eagle symbolizes the inevitable death, and the white snake is the incarnation of his consciousness against death. When his rebellious consciousness incarnates as a white snake and dies, it is equivalent to his failure to fight against death. His consciousness will also experience the impact of death, and the outside body will also be injured. But this is not the end, and he won't wake up outside. On the contrary, when his physical brainwave signal recovers outside, or his soul responds, he will restart this illusion again, and experience the white snake fighting against the black again. The scene of the giant eagle. Look, that white snake is swimming over. Uchiha Shinta's incarnation of green grass lowered his body and entangled Tsunade, letting go of the white snake. Orochimaru, who was walking past him, and let her go after the white snake disappeared. Crazy. Eagles cry again in the sky. Uchiha Shinta's heart moved. He and Tsunade appeared in the outer space at the same time, restored the original body, and the reddish color on Tsunade's neck has not disappeared yet. Orochimaru will continue to experience the cycle of life and death in this space, and there are only 2 ways to get out of it. Either completely see through death, with a Buddha-like awareness, give up fighting against death, experience death here, and at the same time experience death in the outside body. Only by reactivating the life consciousness of the 130 trillion dead cells in his body can he recover. Either have the belief that runs through life and death, use the pursuit of longevity to prove the Alaya consciousness, directly break the illusion space and come to reality. Uchiha Shinta raised his hand to touch the earth in the round sky in front of him, and the internal time flow speeded up instantly, and Orochimaru was constantly experiencing the process of death. Death, 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 death. However, from my perspective, he most likely chose the first path. After all, avoiding the 3 disasters is much easier than carrying the 3 disasters. Sure enough, Orochimaru did not realize the will to fight for life and death in repeated restarts of death. Every time he tried to avoid the giant eagle, but it was ineffective. Gradually, the distance he traveled became shorter and shorter, and a little yellow Madara appeared on the original crystal clear scales of the white snake. 0. Tsunade still watched silently. She was educated by ninjas since she was a child, and she could keep calm and not interfere in any confrontation. Instead, Uchiha Shinta moved in his heart, and a circular light mirror appeared in front of him, which showed the outside scene. I saw Uchiha Shinta and Tsunade looking at each other silently inside the box of the barbecue restaurant, and the third shift guarded by the side. Orochimaru on the opposite side was already bleeding from all 7 orifices, his eyes were bulging like a frog, and he was laid flat on the ground by the 3 members of the 5th squad. Naoki's hands lit up with green light, and he used healing techniques to heal Orochimaru non-stop, and Ibuki Anko and Teruto kept injecting chakra into Orochimaru's body, trying to break the illusion. Uchiha Shinta looked at the white snake who was dying again, only the head was still white, and shook his head involuntarily. It seems that the people outside have been waiting anxiously. Let's go out now, and Orochimaru is unlikely to give any surprises. After the voice fell, this boundless illusion space collapsed instantly, including the reincarnation space where Orochimaru was located, also turned into nothingness. Uchiha Shinta blinked, and the 3-pointed jade in his eyes had disappeared. He keenly felt that there was a cold chakra waking up on the ground opposite the barbecue table. Ahem. Orochimaru was lying on the ground, watching everything in front of him become clear from the double image, and his 3 students were sitting on the ground around him. The snake pupils in his eyes turned and locked onto Naoki, who was performing a healing technique on himself. Am I lost? It's really embarrassing. Ms. Orochimaru, you're awake. Great. Naoki notices Orochimaru's awakening, subconsciously exerts force in his hand. Aha! Orochimaru let out a muffled snort, and frowned, seeing that Naoki had dissipated the green healing technique. Chakra's hands pressed heavily on his abdomen. Naoki, you heard Orochimaru-sensei again. Raise your hand. Hearing Naoki's call, Ibuki, Shing and Torin turned their heads, only to find that Naoki was hurting the teacher who was in charge of her class. Thinking about Ibuki Zing's turn, Teruto was a beat slower. It was Ibuki who took Naoki first. Hands up. I was careless too. Sister, you're awake too. Come and treat Orochimaru-sensei. He's seriously injured. Naoki stood up in embarrassment. 210, suddenly felt someone beside him, turned his head and saw Uchiha Shinta and Tsunade, who also entered the illusion just now, were standing on both sides of him as the left and right protectors. Seeing a savior, he immediately asked Tsunade for help. Katsuyu, please. Instead of leaning down and using healing jutsu on Orochimaru, Tsunade summoned Katsuyu, who was left on Dingshu just now. After Orochimaru wakes up, he no longer suffers continuous damage from the illusion, and the wounds on his body can be healed by Katsuyu. How can he help Princess Tsunade? Orochimaru also understands Tsunade's character. She is not a medical saint who is obsessed with medicine and obsessed with medicine in the eyes of others. She became a medical ninja only because her talent is strong enough and she can protect the lives of the important people in her heart. With an injury like mine, and not on the battlefield, it would be great to have a Katsuyu. A small blue and white Katsuyu crawled out of Akamaiki Dingshu, jumped straight across the barbecue table, came to the side of Tsunade and stretched out its tentacles to observe Orochimaru's situation. Master Tsunade, my chakra split is not enough. I treated Sha Dingshu and Lu Wei just now, but now I can't treat this level of injury. Do you want to summon a bigger split? No need. Uchiha Shinta opened his mouth to veto, raised his hand and pointed out a beam of sun escape light, shining on Katsuyu. If chakra is not enough, let me add some chakra to you. This feeling. Shinta-sama's chakra is so comfortable. After receiving Shinta's chakra, Katsuyu couldn't help twisting her body, and her female voice screamed in comfort. Under the strange eyes of people around, Katsuyu quickly stopped, and hurriedly climbed to Orochimaru's chest, and the green chakra enveloped his whole body, making his expression soothed immediately. Orochimaru just turned his head at this moment, looked at Uchiha Shinta with a complicated expression, his eyes met, and suddenly he felt a feeling of the waves behind the Yangtze River pushing the waves ahead. Shaking his head to dispel his inner thoughts, as a well-known jonin in the village, Orochimaru felt the seriousness of the injury in his body, and he decided to apologize to Uchiha Shinta with his reason online. Shinta-kun, I'm so sorry. After I heard about your information, I have always wanted to test my strength with you. Now it seems that I am too arrogant. Sorry for taking up your time. As a genius since childhood, Orochimaru has always been very proud. Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Hatake Sakumo, who are in the same class, are still unable to make him feel the pressure. The younger generation has not yet grown up, and the former generation has an age advantage. In his heart, he himself has always been the most beautiful wish. How could he know that a person appeared today who made him let go of his arrogance and speak in a harmonious voice? Although he was a little unconvinced, it was just a small conflict after all, and there was no need to develop it to the point of killing people, right? It doesn't matter, if you still want to challenge in the future, I can give you a chance once a year. Uchiha Shinta's response made Naoki eager to have a one-year date, but Tsunade put his hand on his shoulder. Orochimaru can molt and be reborn, you can only rely on my sister and me to rescue you. Uchiha Shinta and Orochimaru reached a settlement, and the surrounding 6 people suddenly felt that the atmosphere in the private room changed from cold to relaxed. Orochimaru turned to look at the remaining 3 in his class. During today's dinner, he found that he still has some lovely subordinates, such as Ibuki Shing and Teruto, who honestly dispelled the illusion for him. Naoki. Winning or losing is a very common thing, teacher, don't get too entangled. Like I often lose to Shinta, don't I keep challenging him every time? I believe that as long as I persist, I will surpass him. Naoki looked at Orochimaru, thinking that he was sad because of failure, so he aimed at the goal of Hokage, and convinced him to move forward as an example to persuade him. Orochimaru was stabbed twice mentally by Naoki's cheerful laughter in his puzzled eyes. Idiot, how did you successfully pass the genin test? Could it be that IQ is not considered for the completion of ninja school now? Is it the same reason that you lost to Uchiha Shinta and I lost to him? Orochimaru was stimulated by Naoki to accelerate the transmission of nerve signals. He only wanted to get better as soon as possible, so he picked up a scalpel and dissected Naoki's brain to see if there were any special brain circuits inside. Then, he looked at Isshin Ibuki Zing's turning sleep Torin, and Naoki's Ibuki Shing from time to time, and sighed. These disciples are really troublesome. Under Katsuyu's treatment, Orochimaru's fingers began to move, and the sensations all over his body gradually recovered. He struggled to raise his hands, and the chakra in his body circulated according to the special meridians, and the whole body was in shape. I saw him frowning, covering his abdomen with his hands, showing pain, and his chest was getting higher and higher, and the swelling was getting bigger and bigger. Vomit. Orochimaru suddenly spit out a figure full of gastric juices forward, his body shriveled suddenly. Suddenly Katsuyu, who was hanging in the air below, exclaimed, and fell to the ground with a bang, and after looking at Tsunade and Shinta aggrievedly, he lifted the summoning spell, returned to Wetbone Forest as white smoke. The figure that appeared from Orochimaru's mouth used the fire attribute chakra nature transformation to evaporate the gastric juice at high temperature. Judging by its appearance, it is an intact Orochimaru. This is Orochimaru flow molting body replacement technique. Crack. Uchiha Shinta looked at the big change in front of him with great interest, and clapped his hands to show his appreciation. This molting ninjutsu has some of the mysteries of yin-yang nature transformation in it, and it has an extraordinary mystery. Shinta-kun has bright eyes. Orochimaru tidied up his clothes, pointed to the half of the grilled meat left on the barbecue table, smiled and gestured to Uchiha Shinta and the others. Mr. Lang, demeanor. The barbecue is almost burnt, let's sit down and chat slowly. The 8 people sat down according to the previous positions, and Akamaiki Tingshu picked up a piece of slightly charred pork without stopping. No matter how hot it was, he mixed it with saliva and swallowed it directly. Just now he stood by the side to protect Tsunade and Uchiha Shinta, which made him greedy long time. Narulue supported his forehead, sighed, and simply asked questions to cover up Ding Shu's impolite behavior. Shinta, when you said yin-yang nature transformation, did you mean that Mr. Orochimaru's technique includes yin-dun and yang-dun? Uchiha Shinta nodded, picked up the grilled meat in front of him and turned it over. It has been passed down from time to time that yin escapes form and yang escapes in harmony. In the ninjutsu just now, I sensed that yin-dun transferred the body in the original body to the chest and abdomen in a special way, constantly shaping a new body, and yang-dun revived the consciousness in the new body. That's why Orochimaru-kun showed that painful expression at the beginning of the operation, right? With a wry smile, Orochimaru raised his sake to clink glasses with Tsunade and Uchiha Shinta. Shinta-kun's talent is really embarrassing. If it wasn't for the Sharingan just now, I would have thought you had the blood of Baian. He is very enthusiastic about the exchange of techniques, and he directly talked about the situation of Orochimaru flow molting body replacement technique. In order to grow up, the snake will shed its old body, and walk out of the new self, and have a longer life. This technique was developed by studying the molt of snakes. Before molting, use the chakra of yin-dun nature transformation to memorize the body information, and then retranscribe it to generate a new body. On the way, use yang-dun nature transformation to transfer all the vitality to the new body. This is the principle of this technique. I haven't seen you use this technique before. Is it newly developed? The treatment effect is really good. I thought you'd have to go to Konoha Hospital for at least 3 days after getting Katsuyu to treat you. Tsunade picked up a piece of Uchiha Shinta grilled vegetables, tasted it in a bowl with sake, looked up at Orochimaru, and asked his doubts. It was indeed developed in the past month. This is the first time I used it after a serious injury. I didn't expect that the consumption would be so great after the body was damaged. My chakra is almost bottomed out. Orochimaru smiled wryly, and pointed to his own weak face. That's amazing, your talent for developing techniques is not inferior to my second grandfather's. However, for your body replacement technique, I recall that in the records, the Uchiha family has a technique with a similar effect. Hiss, so spicy, water, water, water. While Tsunade turned to ask Uchiha Shinta, he stretched out his chopsticks again to steal a piece of his grilled beef, and was immediately overwhelmed by the death chili powder specially sprinkled by Uchiha Shinta, and hurried to find water to drink. Uchiha Katakana middle dot chef Katakana middle dot Shinta unhurriedly put another piece of grilled meat to fill the gap that was stolen. You mean, Izanagi, right? That Uchiha clan forbidden technique. Ha, put less chili. That's right. I remember that in the history of the clan, you Uchiha people often use this technique to turn things around. Gang, just eating, not cooking, pointing fingers at Shinta's barbecue skills, without the slightest self-knowledge of being disliked by others, just sipping deathly spicy barbecue with a freshly poured drink. It's a technique that achieves nature transformation ultimate, interferes with the creation authority of Sage of Six Paths, and can physically change reality. Unfortunately, the price of casting is 3 Tomo Sharingan. But mortals who are not capable enough to try to spy on the forbidden area of the gods can only offer sacrifices. Uchiha Shinta commented on the so-called ultimate illusion in the clan, with emotion in his tone, as if he saw the Uchiha clan ninjas who used Izanagi for generations and sacrificed to visually change reality. Perhaps, it might be a blessing from the gods. He thought of the old wolf in the clan who spent half his life in the clan, shook his head, ignored the barbecue pendant beside him, and sprinkled chili powder according to his own taste. Shinta-kun is right, the Uchiha family is really a family favored by the gods. Before there was Uchiha Madara known as the Ninja Shura, and then there was Shinta-kun. It's like Konoha's luck is at least half in Uchiha. Quote. Orochimaru raised his glass, admiring the Uchiha clan's talent and strong blood. Uchiha Shinta smiled back. There is still a little billion gap between me and Uchiha Madara. Your ninjutsu research talent is the real no. 1 Konoha. Ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha. Shinta and Orochimaru looked at each other and laughed, both happy. Give me 2 more slices, the deathly spicy barbecue is also delicious. Listening to the compliments of the two, Tsunade finished the barbecue in the bowl in 2s and 2s, and gave herself and Uchiha Shinta each a piece of red 12-year-old beef as a gift. Uchiha Shinta chatted while continuing to grill the meat with more peppers. Everyone was very happy at the barbecue at noon, but when the waiter came in, he saw the person on the ground jump under his skin, and Orochimaru rolled it up and took him away. It must have been destroyed. Thinking of Orochimaru's creation of the writing face mask technique, in the future, Uchiha Shinta is suddenly a little unsure. After paying the bill, Tsunade held his shriveled wallet, swaggered to the door of the barbecue shop, and waved to the three of Shinta. The fifth class still has things to do, and they have been separated from them just now. That's all for today's dinner. Go back and rest, we will start the task tomorrow. Shinta, stay. The three looked at each other. Nara Lue and Akamaiki Dingshu bid farewell to Uchiha Shinta, and walked towards their home together. Nara Lue needs to think about the internal situation of the third shift, and Akamaiki Dingshu needs to digest the barbecue that he ate today. Shinta-kun, come with me. Tsunade took Uchiha Shinta's left hand and walked towards the corner of the street. What's the matter? Shinta is curious. What card is Tsunade Heim playing? It's mysterious. Hey, look at my wallet. I only have a little money, why don't we earn some money? Tsunade showed a flattering smile, opened his wallet, and clapped his hands at Uchiha Shinta. You mean, Uchiha Shinta's ambiguity brings up the topic. That's right, it's the casino. Tsunade hit his right hand with his left fist, saying that Uchiha Shinta was right. No, have you forgotten what I said? The reversal of fate is getting rarer and rarer. Uchiha Shinta also wanted to increase the inventory, but remembered what he said to fool Tsunade before, and the threat of fate flashed in front of his heart. So didn't I discuss it with you? And I have brought all the money from my family today. If I can't go, I can only go to Shinta's house to eat this month. Tsunade Heim is playing a rogue, and decides to inherit the behest of her late great-grandfather, becoming the second member of the Senju family who broke into the Uchiha clan's land. Then, you can only earn a little. Uchiha Shinta, who was already hesitant, thought of how his life was broken into by Tsunade, and he was relieved that he was not ready yet. Don't worry, I can control it for sure, remind me when you reach the limit. Tsunade patted A+, swore with Naoki's chastity that she would stick to it, pulled Uchiha Shinta up to the roof, and rushed towards Konoha Casino. She hasn't played poker for almost a week, her hands are itchy. Hands are itchy. You slow down. Uchiha Shinta's voice wafts through the air, leaving a girly fragrance in the air. That night, Uchiha Shinta returned with a rewarding experience. That night, Tsunade came home looking at her purse and getting ready to roll up the bed. If it is painful to watch others make money, then it should be even more painful to use your own unique advantages to make money in partnership and be taken away by others, by Tsunade. Hokage Building, Sarutobi Hiruzen Office of Third Generation. Tsunade stared at Uchiha Shinta with a face full of reluctance. She was still indignant about what happened yesterday. From the perspective of Tsunade, yesterday afternoon she took Uchiha Shinta, a drag bottle, and used the transformation technique to kill all directions in the Konoha Casino, sweeping away thousands of troops and becoming invincible. The two of them won less than half of the money in the entire Muya Casino. If it wasn't for her, Tsunade, who was willing to be a beacon to illuminate the way forward for the tiny Uchiha Shinta, how could he have the ability to run freely in the Konoha Casino? I don't know, Uchiha Shinta doesn't recognize anyone when he leaves the casino. He even lied to her that in order to suppress the fate line and prevent it from rebounding, she can't touch the money and can only be kept by him. The key is that at that time Uchiha Shinta said that she was sure, and she was blindsided. An 80-year-old woman stretches her baby. It wasn't until she got home that she realized that if the fate line bounced back, it should have bounced back during gambling. What is it about money? Tsunade wanted to go back to the Konoha Casino and gamble for 2 more rounds on the spot, but he remembered the heroic posture of Uchiha Shinta who threw his fist to save fate. All right, she just found that her fists were not hard enough, and she didn't dare to test her fate without Uchiha beside her. And the money in the wallet is only what Shinta returned, which is barely enough to eat. After thinking about it, she ran to the cupboard to find a spare quilt, and packed a set to take with her. Seeing Uchiha Shinta chatting with Nara Lue and Akamaiki Dingshu in a low voice, Tsunade grunted, touched the seal scroll at his waist, and showed a strange smile, which made the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen in front of him shiver. Sarutobi is timid and Hiruzen hastily took out the scroll he had prepared earlier and handed it to Tsunade. "Oh Tsunade, here is the scroll for your mission today. Things for young people are too complicated, and he, an old man who is almost 40 years old, doesn't participate too much." Tsunade reached out to take it and read it directly. D-level mission, assist the rich businessman's wife Mrs. Nishimura to find her lost cat. Sarutobi Hiruzen knocked on the pipe, glanced at the three of Uchiha Shinta, Nara Lue and Akamaiki Tingshu unconsciously puffed out their chests slightly. This task is relatively simple, and it is also to let you be familiar with the process of receiving the task. If there is no problem, you can start as soon as possible. Mrs. Nishimura paid twice the reward for ordinary D-level tasks in advance. Snapped. Tsunade quickly closed the mission scroll, waved his hand, and greeted Uchiha Shinta and the other three to go downstairs. She who just had a big meal yesterday is in urgent need of this kind of task. Squad 3, get ready for action. Uchiha Shinta was walking in the forest. The sun was just right today. After shining through the leaves above, the forest was still bright. The hem of the white imperial robe he specially wore was dancing with the wind behind him. Is it here? He suddenly made a sound in this empty forest, as if someone was walking beside him. That's right, judging from the traces, it shouldn't have been long since it came here. A voice with radio interference came from the black device hanging on his left ear. Judging from the tone, it should be Nara Lue. I think I should have found it. Uchiha Shinta was silent for a moment, then suddenly looked up, and looked at a pair of green vertical pupils. Meow. In front of me is a yellow and white shorthair, with a calm face and haughty eyes, as if a king is patrolling a territory out of sight, but is suddenly disturbed by his subjects. Uchiha Shinta looked at it, and heard Nara Shikamaru and Akamaiki Tingshu coming at the same time, and they were also searching around here. Sure enough it is. Nara Lue arrived first, took out the photos in his hands and compared them. One of the noble ladies was holding a long ying short, the coat color was the same as the one on the tree, she couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Boom, boom, boom. Akamaiki Dingshu arrived in great strides, and he rushed over like a small elephant, shaking the surrounding leaves on the ground slightly. Meow. The British short-hair king seemed to be startled, jumped up immediately after a scream, and jumped towards the nearby branches. Phew, where is it? Where is the cat? Dingshu, who was standing still, panted heavily. He also heard the words of the two people in the earphones, but he looked up but did not find the mission target. He hurriedly asked questions like Uchiha Shinta and Nara who were standing there. Don't worry, Lu Wei has already caught it. The dense forest is the home of Nara's family. Uchiha Shinta looked up to the southwest, and answered Ding Shu's question without looking back, as if seeing the cat through the forest. Ding Shu shifted his gaze to Lu Wei, and found that his hands had made Z marks, and the shadow under his feet turned into a black line, spreading upwards around the trunk, and disappearing into the dense branches above his head. Hurry up and help me catch it. Shadow imitation also consumes chakra. Listening to the two teammates still chatting non-stop, Nara Lue started to complain. Do they think that the Nara family's secret technique can be maintained without consuming chakra? Oh, I'll go right away. Akamaiki Dingshu subconsciously followed the trail of Lu Weing's shadow, and went to find the cat from under the tree, but Uchiha Shinta raised his hand to stop it. Let me go, you watch Lu Wei here to prevent him from being disturbed by animals. I will come as soon as I go, you wait here. Uchiha Shinta raised his foot and took a step. The moment he stepped down, he appeared on the branch, and the second step pointed directly to the southwest. This is body replacement technique shape-shifting. Meow. Trapped to the end of a branch by shadow mimicry, the precarious British short-haired king looked at Uchiha Shinta who suddenly appeared beside him, screaming violently as if frightened by an assassination. Uchiha Shinta also stepped on this branch, with the weight of one more person, but the bending degree of the branch did not change, as if Uchiha Shinta was a ghost. This is Earth-style dancing Kongshu. He ignored the screaming Yingduan, bent down to pick it up, and past the boundary between the shadows of Nara Lue and Yingduan. The restraint effect was immediately released, and the black shadow receded to where it came from. This is Yin escape suppression. Uchiha Shinta took another step, walked out to where Nara Lue and Akamaiki Dingshu were, and startled Dingshu, who was holding Kawaii, and the black line of Lue's shadow changed all the way back from the tree. Shinta shook the cat on his body, and said to the two. I've already caught it, let's go back to Mr. Nato to get the task reward. Shinta, the way I look at it is so weird. Lue and Dingshu followed Uchiha Shinta and turned around and walked out of the woods. The curious Dingshu kept staring at the cat's eyes and asked Shinta who had become the core of the three. This is the eyes of a cat. It is said that the reaction speed of cats is 2 to 4 times that of humans, so the reaction speed of humans is slow in the eyes of cats. Hence the proud and contemptuous eyes. Cats are also the only animals that don't change. Whether you are rich or poor, whether you are handsome or ugly, they will always despise you. Uchiha Shinta patiently popularized science with friends who lack knowledge around him. What? It actually dislikes me. No wonder my family doesn't have cats. Akamaiki Dingshu was shocked by the truth, and realized the reason why his family didn't keep animals. Dingshu, he deceived you. The cat's eyes are just like those when people despise it. And your family doesn't keep animals because you don't want animals to eat. Nara Lue couldn't stand it anymore, and tried to make Dingshu wake up. Isn't that still contempt? Akamaiki Dingshu stares at the keyword to retort. Ah, that's true. Nara Lue felt speechless and could only keep silent about Dingshu being deceived. The three came to the Hokage building, Nuochian's, and saw Tsunade who was doing nothing and humming a happy song. Uchiha Shinta raised the British short king to signal. Tsunade-sensei, we have achieved the mission objective, what's the next step? Good student Nara Lue took the initiative to report the progress of the task. Tsunade glanced at the cat in Uchiha bullying master Miezu Shinta's hand, and it was consistent with the mission information, stood up and led the way. Come with me, first go to the quest office and submit the quest, and they will contact the person who issued the quest, Nishimura. Afterwards, we have to write a mission process and submit it to the mission review department. Lue will write this for you. However, this can be slowed down. I'll take you to get a mission to leave the village first. You probably haven't left Konoha village yet, right? The training ground doesn't count. As she explained the mission process clearly, Nara Lue nodded again and again, and went straight to the top floor. Boom! Tsunade pushes open Hokage's office door. Teacher, we have completed the mission this morning. Give me a mission to go out of the village, and I will show them to the world. Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was inspecting Konoha, quickly closed the drawer, and glanced at the three of Uchiha Shinta. Out of the village faint. Ying in Uchiha Shinta's arms let out a cat meow, stepped on his arm, jumped up, and jumped directly onto the desk documents in front of third generation's eyes. You found Liuhua so quickly. Sarutobi Hiruzen raised his hand and scratched the cat's chin. When asked about the smell of cigarettes, the British short-haired king slapped it away with his paw in disgust. He didn't take it seriously, and explained to the 4 people in front of him with a smile. Ms. Nishimura has a lot of business in Konoha village, and she will live in Konoha village for 10 days and a half a month every season, and Liuhua is not homely, so she has become a frequent visitor here. Tsunade should know Mrs. Nishimura well. Didn't you accompany her when she came to the village last month? This, hearing Sarutobi Hiruzen's rhetorical question from third generation, Tsunade hesitated for a moment, thinking quickly in his mind, trying to remember when he had seen Mrs. Nishimura in the past. Until she saw the British short king, Liuhua, lying on the pile of documents, a scene suddenly sounded. Ah, I remember. It's that rich businessman's wife who often comes to see you in a red dress. She also often hugs this cat. I wonder why she looks so familiar. I remember seeing the two of you discussing things alone when I came here several times. Could it be? Tsunade-ji suspects that there is adultery. Ahem. The middle-aged third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen coughed twice, indicating to turn the chapter directly, regardless of the strange eyes of Uchiha Shinta and the three, and took over Tsunade's previous topic. Are you saying you're leaving the village? I just happen to have a mission here to leave the village, and the grade is C. But according to the usual rules, doesn't the third class need to run in? Perhaps you can do D-level missions for a while, get more familiar with the process. He took out a scroll marked C from the task shelf on the right, raised his hand and pressed it on the table, and reminded Tsunade again. It's all right. Tsunade waved his hand, stepped forward and pulled out the mission scroll. I am very familiar with Shinta, and Shinta is also very familiar with Lu Wei and Ding Shu. If we fight, there is no problem with our strength. Even if it is an enemy ninja. Hehe. Sea-level missions don't involve ninja battles. Sarutobi Hiruzen stroked the black triangular beard on his chin, but he didn't refute Tsunade's words. 2 cage-level fighters, to complete sea-level missions, and one is a veteran. Even with 2 oil bottles, Naraluwe and Akamaiki Dingshu feel a chill in their knees, but they are also buffalo-backed leaves, easy. Let me see, it's the task of eliminating water monsters. It's relatively rare. As far as the location is concerned, it's near the carp village, and it's already close to the land of soup. Tsunade looked at the brief description of the mission. The target was general and descriptive, probably some kind of big fish or summoning beast. The ignorant villagers thought it was a water monster, but the location was a little pleasantly surprised. She made the decision directly with her crisp hands. Okay, then accept this task, and after we finish, let's go to Yuno country to soak in the hot spring. Sarutobi Hiruzen ignored Tsunade's self-serving words and clapped his hands for Anbu, a raccoon mask. Go and call the person who issued the mission of the water monster in Liu village. Third generation false public service. Sarutobi Hiruzen turned his head to look at Tsunade again, stroked the back of the British short king, Rika, and made a snoring sound. Tsunade, let me give Mrs. Nishimura's cat to her, and you will be paid for the task. You can go to the office next door and wait. Then Shinta, you 3 come with me. Tsunade brought the 3 of them skillfully to the office next door, where there was a conference round table with seasonal fruits and vegetables on it. She picked up a fruit that looked like a black plum and nodded -0. Lu Wei, take a look at this mission report template first, and write our report according to it. She took out a stack of blank document paper from the drawer familiarly, and handed it to Nara along with a mission report in the ninja bag. Lu Wei. Lu Wei is writing the report. 10 minutes later. Hokage-sama. Ninja-sama. A middle-aged man dressed as an ordinary fisherman walked into Hokage's office, carrying a slight fishy smell. As soon as he came in, he bowed to third generation and the third group of 4 people, and then asked Sarutobi Hiruzen expectantly. Excuse me, has anyone accepted the water monster mission in our village? Because of the water monster, our Liu village has not fished for almost a month, and now every household can only go to the mountains to find food. Before I came, 2 people were injured. Sarutobi Hiruzen knocked on the pipe, waited for the cries of the middle-aged fisherman to fade away, and introduced the situation of the third shift. This is the 3rd class, and I have accepted the tasks from your village. The class teacher, Tsunade, is my disciple. They are very capable, and they will definitely complete the tasks entrusted by you perfectly. Don't worry. Then, he pointed to the middle-aged fisherman and introduced them to Tsunade. This is Kojira, the village head of Liu village, who came here with the hope of the whole village on his shoulders. Tsunade, you are here to help him solve the problem perfectly. The 4 of Tsunade's eyes focused on Kojira, and he immediately bowed to Tsunade, holding the reward in his hands. Master Tsunade, I leave the task to you. The next day, the gate of Konoha village. The 3rd group and Kojira, the head of the carp village, gathered here. Tsunade was wearing a Jonin vest, and Uchiha Shinta, Naraluwe, and Akamaiki Dingshu were all wearing their regular clothes. It looked like the teacher leading the class took the new genin out of the village to do tasks. Dingshu, what's on your backpack? Uchiha Shinta looked at Dingshu carrying a huge travel backpack, on which was a black object that looked like the bottom of a pot. The common sense in the past told him that this was a brand new iron pot, but he was not sure emotionally. It's the pot. Akamaiki Dingshu's straightforward reply affirmed his common sense. But it made him more puzzled. We are on a mission, why do you bring a pot? You are not a ninja chef, don't ninjas usually eat on the spot when they are outside? The teacher of the ninja school taught it. I secretly took it from home, and I also brought a lot of food in my backpack. I thought if I didn't find any wild animals, wouldn't I be hungry? So I brought more. Dingshu's answer was justified, and Uchiha Shinta couldn't refute it when he thought about the large amount of delicacies stored in the space he created with Yin Dun. So that's the case. It seems that you still have the foresight. In the face of Shinta's admiration, Akamaiki Dingshu accepted it all. That's right, look at my handicraft on the way. Tsunade looked at Kojiro, the task issuer, who was listening and nodding, with some veins popping up on his face. You two, give me enough time. Ninja missions are not a game. Why don't you take the house with you? Now, leave emergency items such as combat ninja tools and military food pills, and put the other things back. After a while of flying around, Akamaiki Dingshu returned after sending his backpack and iron pot home, and it was almost 10 o'clock. Finally, a group of 5 people were able to travel lightly and walk to the main gate of Konoha village. At this time, 10,000 years Chunin gatekeeper Kazuki Izumo and Gang Ziti have not yet been born, and there are 2 Chunin vests with ordinary faces guarding the gate. Boom! Tsunade waved his hand, nailed the exit certificate to the wooden gate with kunai, and waved his hand. Set off. Within the territory of the Kingdom of Fire. On the dusty dirt road without rain for days, Uchiha Shinta and his group of 5 walked silently on the road. It's the second day after leaving Konoha village. Perhaps because they are far away from the crowded villages and towns, the vast land and sparse population of the Hokage world are fully displayed in front of the Uchiha Shinta 3 who have left the village for the first time. After waking up in the morning, the third shift took Kojiro, the head of the Carp village, to go straight on the main road, but they didn't meet anyone, let alone a village. This leaves Akamaiki Tinki desperate to find a shop. Tsunade-sensei, how far is it? We've been walking for a day. The snacks I brought with me were unknowingly eaten yesterday, and the big backpack was forced to go home by Tsunade. Akamaiki Tingshu, who had been sluggish for a long time, could only ask about the journey feebly. According to the information I checked before coming here, it takes about 2 days to travel from here to Liu village and Genin. However, because of Uncle Kojiro. Nara Lu Wei's voice sounded beside him. He raised his head to look at Kojiro, who was walking in the middle, and turned his head to Kojiro with an embarrassed expression. Lu Wei continued to Dingshu. We should arrive at Liu village in about 7 or 8 days. Tsunade and Uchiha Shinta walked in front. She was asking Uchiha Shinta in a low voice for advice on how to improve the realm of strength. When she heard Lu Wei's explanation, she nodded in appreciation. Lu Wei is right. Generally speaking, ninjas travel at least 4 or 5 times faster than ordinary people, so it is best to determine the travel time when setting out a mission, otherwise it will cause a big impact. Like the big bag you prepared yesterday, Dingshu, our pace will be at least half slower after carrying it. Tsunade's teaching and Lu Wei's persuasion did not cheer Dingshu up, but he became more and more depressed. Why is it taking so long? The newly bought fruit I put at home will all go bad. Uchiha Shinta was wearing the white imperial god robe and the black costume, walking on the road without any trace of dust, and there was no trace of dust on his body. Hearing Akamaiki Dingshu's mournful cry, he looked up at the sky, stopped, and the whole team also stopped. Shinta, what's the matter? Tsunade was the first to react. His consciousness sank into meditation, sensing the changes in chakra in the surrounding area, but found that there was no one else except himself. He was immediately alert and asked Shinta. Uchiha Shinta waved his hand and turned to look at Akamaiki Tingshu. It's okay, I just think it's time to start preparing lunch. Yesterday we waited until noon to start cooking, but everyone was very hungry, so let's prepare early today. He turned his head to look at Dingshu. Akamaiki shook his hand slightly, and took out a bottle of chili powder from the semi-real illusion space created by Yin Dun to signal him. Dingshu, you can hunt some prey later and make it into jerky to eat on the road. I still have some seasonings here. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Akamaiki Dingshu heard what Shinta said, and after confirming with wide eyes, he was overjoyed, jumped 3 feet and rushed towards the roadside forest. Great, I'm going to find my prey right now, wait for me. Uchiha Shinta paused, and a stone gazebo rose with a boom on the side of the road, with a stone table and 4 stone benches in the middle. He nodded to Tsunade, and the two walked into it and sat down together. Yesterday's Tsunade-ji just touched the threshold of dark force, and now it is urgent to strengthen the control of force. Rao is her personal experience of the 6 heavens of force, and with Uchiha Shinta's precepts and deeds, it took about a week to use the dark force for the first time, and subconsciously turned the wooden chopsticks into a powder finer than white flour, so that she understood what she was after. The way is right. Vigorous power is first, and dark power is first. This shady damage does not mean that the means are inferior, but that the power is sent out in the dark, the action is in the yin, and the harm is invisible. For example, a person can exert a force of 100 kilograms with his visible force, but he can exert a force of 80 kilograms with his dark force. The 100 kilograms of bright force hits a person, and the whole body bears this force together, and it may only fall on the body parts such as feet, back, temples, etc. Exclamation mark. But the 80 kilograms dark force has been developed to ultimate. After punching out with full force, each cell has to bear the 80 kilograms force, and the whole person will be beaten into a paste. No matter Mr. Tsunade is humble and eager to learn, Shinta is preaching and learning. As the intellectual responsibility and communication platform in the team, Nara Luwei looked at Tsunade and Shinta, who sat down and continued to discuss, and Ding Shu disappeared in the woods, couldn't help but sighed, and looked at the restrained head of Liu village. Uncle Shaojiro, it seems that I have to trouble you to wait. It will take some time for Ding Shu to find the prey. No. It's okay, food is important. After finally inviting a team of ninjas from Konoha village to go back, Kojiro certainly didn't dare to blow his hair. Since yesterday, he has been obedient, which made Lu Wei a little embarrassed. Then please help me pick up the firewood so I can start the grill. However, for free labor, Nara Shikamaru can still use it. He also finally enjoyed the feeling of someone helping him, and secretly vowed that after bringing the students, they would also write mission reports. As for why he and Ding Shu didn't get together to listen to Uchiha Shinta's lecture, it can only be said that the meaning conveyed by Uchiha Shinta is too subtle. It is completely beyond the system of chakra, but even if Lu Wei has an IQ of 200, he is still interested in letting go of oneself, changing the three views, and identifying commonalities, after Euler. Wait, it also feels like listening to the Bible. If I had this talent, I would have become a Jonin long ago. Nara, who dug a pit to build a grill, feels aggrieved that someone has crushed him intellectually. Have to say, food is the first driver of Akamaiki's house. Boom, boom. About 10 minutes later, Akamaiki Dingshu used the partial doubling technique of his hand, holding a lot of game such as deer, rabbits, bears, etc., walked out of the forest and placed it beside Nara Deerway. He cancelled the doubling technique, walked up to the stunned Lu Wei and shook his head. Lu Wei, I've already found the prey, let's start. I'll think about Shinta's seasoning. Nara Lu Wei's face was dull, and he pointed to the 5 or 6 meters of wild game. Is this the prey you were talking about? That's right. In order to have food for the next half-month, I captured everything I could see in the forest. Speaking of the prey, Akamaiki is a little proud when he stands up. Lu Wei took a deep breath, and started to clean the sanitation of the prey slowly with Kojiro one by one. Lu Wei, Ding Shu, and Heijiro died in the barbecue. 9 days later, the third group walked along the path, bypassing many mountains, and suddenly there was an openness in front of them. Not far away, there was a large and wide lake. The green water waves were like a mirror, reflecting the white clouds above the blue sky. On the other side of the lake, you can faintly see scattered houses, from which the smoke from lunch rises. Is this Liu village? It's finally here. Uchiha Shinta stood at the intersection and sighed. Since they started walking the path 4 days ago, they have only seen one village in the distance on the road, and the rest is uninhabited. Ninja missions are like this. A lot of time is spent on the road, and the proportion of time spent fighting is much less. Tsunade also raised his head on his hips, looking into the distance to soothe the mood of walking in the forest for 2 consecutive days. Originally, according to Nara Lu Wei's calculations, even including Kojiro, the head of the carp village, he would be there yesterday morning at the latest. But starting 4 days ago, after they turned from the main road with 2 carriages parallel to the country lane, their footsteps slowed down a lot. Even though Kojiro tried to speed up, it still took an extra day. Bypassing this lake, there is Liu village. Seeing that he was about to return to the village, Kojiro was also a little excited, and he proudly introduced it to the 3rd class, 673. After our ancestors discovered the Carp Lake, they migrated here. Now, there are 70 or 80 families in the village, with a population of more than 600. It can be called a small town. The release of the task this time is also a reward collected by every household in the village. He led the way, bypassing the big lake and walking towards the house with smoke rising from the opposite side. Tsunade, Uchiha Shinta, and Nara followed closely behind. Akamaiki stood on the spot and stuffed all the venison meat that had been smoked and roasted in the morning, and hurried to catch up. Our daily livelihood generally depends on farming in daylight. But since a month and a half ago, a water monster suddenly appeared in the lake. It rolls in the lake every few days, causing the lake to become choppy. Occasionally, it rushes to the shore and overturns the docked fishing boats, making all the villagers afraid to approach the water. I've seen it from a distance. That water monster is red all over. It looks as big as a house. It can swallow a person with its huge mouth. Isn't that the red giant fish? Nara, who was observing the lake carefully, suddenly spoke. The red giant fish, also known as the red stingray, is a big fish monster recorded in Tobinbai Monogatari. It is red all over and has a huge body, which is similar to what you described, Uncle Kojiro. Really, Yukai, Master Tsunade, you must get rid of it. Kojiro was stunned, his face turned blue from the fright of Lu Wei's words. He quickly turned around and bowed to Tsunade for help. Village Chief Kojiro, don't worry, it's just an upgraded beast, there's no such thing as a red giant fish. Tsunade glared at the sneering Nara Luwei, and comforted the head of Liu village. And many more. Uchiha Shinta suddenly raised his hand to signal everyone to be quiet, and turned to look at the lake. Something is coming. After the words fell, ripples began to appear on the deep lake, and an invisible sense of depression surrounded the surrounding area. It's coming. Kojiro, the head of Liu village, looked terrified and screamed loudly. It must be the red giant fish. I didn't feel this way before, it must have slowly regained its power by intimidating the villagers. Uchiha Shinta and the others ignored Kojiro's rich associations. Even Akamaiki Tingshu, who loves wild game, put down the bag in his hand and looked at the lake seriously. Feeling the invisible fluctuation in the air, Shinta frowned slightly. This is wow. Before Shinta could express his conjecture, a huge upgraded carp broke through the lake and jumped into the air, causing the entire lake to fluctuate violently. This, Kojiro, Nara Luwei, Akamaiki Tingshu are dumbfounded. I saw that this upgraded carp was only roughly similar to a carp in outline, its scales had fallen off all over its body, and its red muscles swelled, like a bloated piece of meat. Its size is not the size of a private house, at least the size of 2 Hokage buildings. The fins on both sides and on the back are wrapped in meat membranes, and when you wave it, you can see a gust of wind. Thump. As if retaining the habit of a carp, this giant red fish paused in the air, then plunged into the water again, and the ripples on the lake gradually subsided. Uchiha Shinta raised his fingertips, a bit of red flesh on it was trembling, as if it still had vitality. Sure enough, it is the influence of nature. He pointed his finger at Tsunade and shared his observations. When this red giant fish jumped up just now, I took out a bit of flesh and blood from its body. According to my experience of learning fairy art in the Wetbone Forest, it should have been upgraded by accident. It can absorb natural energy, but it has grown uncontrollably, and it has become like this. Tsunade smelled it, and there was a faint fishy smell, but it was not disgusting, but it made people feel appetizing. She licked her lips. This carp should have absorbed too much energy and caused unbearable pain, so it disturbed the lake and overturned the boat. However, I remember that the taste of this kind of animal that has been upgraded due to natural energy is quite good. We can taste it after we eliminate it. Gudong. Akamaiki next to him swallowed, and pricked up his ears to hear how delicious the animals affected by natural energy are. Tsunade stopped talking about it, and turned to Kojiro, who was full of hope. Village Chief Kojiro, we've seen the red giant fish, too, and we'll cover it up after lunch. She tosses her blonde hair and glances at Uchiha Shinta with her beautiful eyes. You can rest assured that it is not our opponent. Good. Then, Master Tsunade, the head of Liu village, was overjoyed, and hurriedly continued to lead the way. At noon, the third class had a home-cooked meal at the village head's house, and a bottle of rice wine was presented by Kojiro. After drinking and eating, Tsunade came to the lake with the third team, slightly drunk. Kojiro, the head of the carp village, kindly told about the recent living habits of the carp lake monster, the red giant fish. I have just asked people in the village who live not far from the lake. Every day at the end of noon, around 2 o'clock noon, the red giant fish will jump out of the lake, as if struggling in pain. It lasts for about an hour. Incense burning time, 15 minutes. Master Tsunade, if you want to get rid of it, you can use this time to attack it. Okay, we got it. Village Chief Kojira, go back first. Let's fight it. If you get too close, it will hurt you. Tsunade let the common man, the head of the carp village, stay away, and turned to look at Nara Luwei and Akamaiki Dingshu. Have you learned to tread water? He looked at each other and shook his head at the same time. Luwei, I have already learned how to climb trees, but I often step on the ground when I step on water. Dingshu, I'm still learning to climb trees. Tsunade nodded, looked around the three of them and made a battle plan. After the red giant fish comes out, I'll beat it to the edge of the uninhabited forest. The deer will restrict its movement, and the small tree will harass and attack. Shinta will finish it off. Questions. Hands up Uchiha Shinta. It's better for me to knock it down in the woods. You are in charge of finishing it. Just try the dark calendar that you have learned in the past 2 weeks. Tsunade thought for a moment, then nodded in agreement. Then it's settled. The three of us will go to the shore and wait for you. Uchiha Shinta stepped into the lake, stepping on the lake surface with his feet, not dripping water all over his body, and the white royal robe danced under the breeze blowing on the lake surface. In the past half a month, because there is no other entertainment on the road, Shinta is more diligent in practicing chakra refining at night, and has already been promoted to IV 30. Because of the special effect after upgrading to level 30, he focused on the upgraded natural energy area in the giant fish. Chakra refining technique IV 30, 4/100ths, your mind will grow forever in meditation. You have realized the true meaning of energy, and your chakra can be integrated into the characteristics of other energies. As the characteristics of integration increase, the quality of your chakra will multiply exponentially growth. Evaluation. All laws in the world have their source. It has become so much bigger, but still maintains such a vigorous vitality. There must be something special about this giant red fish. Orochimaru may be ecstatic when he sees it. But fortunately, Shinta doesn't need to conduct scientific research. As long as he extracts energy from this upgraded carp, it will naturally have its special properties. This is talent open. Uchiha Shinta tactical back. Shinta didn't wait for long on the lake. Circles of ripples began to appear on the lake, and an inexplicable sense of depression was in the air. Red giant fish is about to appear. Wow! The water surface was broken, and the huge red monster leapt into the sky, paused for a moment, then swung its muscular tail, and was about to throw it down. Uchiha Shinta jumped up with the red giant fish, and watched the splashing water pull out a rainbow, and the hazy water mist was beautiful. He stomped on the water. Water style refers to water into steel technique. The entire lake surface suddenly bulges, and quickly rises to the highest point where the red giant fish jumped, and then sinks slightly to accumulate strength. As if playing badminton, the entire surface above is swung towards the red giant fish. Boom, 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 boom. A huge red shadow streaked across the sky, hit the opposite uninhabited forest, rolled and overwhelmed a large number of giant trees. At this moment, the surface of the lake just fell back, and there was a huge splash of water with a bang, making the rainbow just now even more brilliant. Uchiha Shinta walked towards the woods amidst the loud noise behind him. In front, Nara Luwei and Akamaiki Dingshu are preparing for the seal, and Tsunade is standing on the top of the tree, ready to save the field at any time. The red giant fish battle begins. Shadow imitation. Nara Deer Micro First Control. A black shadow spread from the shadow under his feet, jumped continuously among the shadows in the forest, and connected to the red giant beast with its belly up. The dorsal fin was directly snapped off, and the red giant fish, which kept twitching even in a coma, stopped moving instantly. Akamaiki Dingshu knot seal completed. Partial multiplication technique, meat bomb chariot. His torso instantly swelled into a ball, and his 5 limbs retracted into his body. With the sound of bang, it was like an elastic ball, rolling and jumping into the air, hitting the soft belly of the red giant fish. Ah! The giant screams. The red giant fish that was hit hard on the abdomen spewed out red blood and internal organ fragments. It struggled and shook violently under the shadow imitation technique, driving Nara Lu Wei to instantly increase the consumption speed of chakra several times. Lu Wei kept his hands in knot seal, with sweat dripping from his forehead, trying his best to keep the shadow line connected to Dongbayu. Ding Shu, attack quickly, I won't last long. Its struggle is too strong. Akamaiki Ding Shu heard Nara's deer shouting slightly. He bounced off after hitting the belly of the red giant fish, just now, circled around in the forest, and rolled towards the red giant fish, again. Boom, 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 ovu, uvu, uvu. With 3 consecutive hits, Akamaiki Ding Shu bounced like an elastic trampoline in the belly of the red giant fish, giving the red giant fish heavy blows, rolling sounds and symphonic echoes of mourning. It seems that Ding Shu should be able to deal with the red giant fish, so I shouldn't need to make a move. Tsunade, wearing Jonin's green vest, was standing on the top of a tree. Out of the corner of her eye, she caught a glimpse of a white robe stepping on the tree trunk to her side. She commented on the battle in front of her. Uchiha Shinta shook his head, pointing to the newly formed layer of crystalline horniness on the belly of red giant fish. A monster affected by natural energy is not so easy to die. It has a strong recovery speed and stress growth. Look, the abdomen that was repeatedly hit by Ding Shu has already grown a layer of horny. Ding Shu's third attack may not hurt or itch for it. And even if the internal organs are broken, for its vigorous vitality, it should also recover soon. Its cry has changed from pain to anger at the beginning. Lu Wei is almost unable to support it. Shinta turned to look at Tsunade with a smile on his lips. You're almost ready to go down, just in time to try your new trick. Sure enough, as soon as Uchiha Shinta's voice fell, Akamaiki Ding Shu jumped up again, and rolled down from the sky for the 4th time, but it was no longer the belly of the red giant fish that greeted him. Under the influence of anger and external attacks, this giant beast became more and more powerful. Seeing that Ding Shu was about to collide again, it suddenly turned sideways with the restraint of the shadow imitation technique. Akamaiki Ting Tree Body. Boom, boom. Ding Shu's meatball chariot was like a tennis ball meeting a racket. It flew straight out and hit the opposite mountain, sending out a lot of smoke and dust. Nara Lu Wei was thrown to the ground by the sudden force of the red giant fish, and the seal could not be maintained, and the red giant fish directly broke free from the shadow imitation technique. Ah! Finally breaking free from the shackles, the strange fish turned over, its 2 muscular fins and muscular tail propped up its huge body, and roared to the sky. Whoosh! After a few ups and downs, Tsunade came to the red giant fish, in an instant, looked up at the monster in front of him, and felt that it was not much different from one snake and toad bunta in size. As for the Katsuyu, its size depends on how much chakra you use. The chakra in the body circulates according to a special trajectory, and Tsunade sinks into an inexplicable state. The blue chakra on his body overflows and wraps the whole body, ready to face the giant beast. The red giant fish keenly sensed the threat coming from ahead, stopped roaring, lowered its head and looked at the little green dot ahead. Roar! With a low growl, its 3 fins and lower abdomen jumped up vigorously at the same time, opened its huge mouth full of fangs, and rushed towards Tsunade. Tsunade clenched his fist, kicked his feet and flew up from the side, avoiding the huge fangs of the red giant fish, and came to the gills on its side, and found that it was also wrapped in a layer of muscles. Strange power art dark force realm Mizan strike. Puff! Tsunade punched out, as if hitting a piece of tofu, and the 6-meter radius of the punch was directly blasted into blood and bones. Drink! The red giant fish landed on the ground with a bang, and after rolling twice, it lay on the ground powerless and moaning, even without the strength to struggle. From Tsunade's point of view, a huge blood hole is in the gills of the monster's side, more than half of the internal organs have disappeared, the swim bladder has no trace, and the heart just left a root. There's a lot of blood out of it and non-stop performances. The red giant fish has been defeated. She dispersed the chakra all over her body, exited the dark force realm, and her muscles began to swell a little, but she still failed to normalize this attack. Da da da. Tsunade turned his head following the sound, watching Shinta and the tall Katsuyu coming slowly with Lu Wei and Ding Shu on their backs. It's a long story, but the confrontation between Tsunade and Red Giant Fish was only a minute or two. When Tsunade went to meet the Red Giant Fish, just now, Uchiha Shinta entered the body replacement technique state, took a space leap, and followed the chakra induction directly to the foot of the distant mountain, and found Akamaiki Dingshu, who had passed out and was blue and purple. Oh, it's such a tragedy for a melee meat tank without armor. Shinta shook his head, raised his hand to the ground a little, and a chakra shot out. Summoning. Chakra fell to the ground, and the runes wandered on the ground, forming circles of special patterns, and then there was a bang. White smoke rose everywhere, and a blue and white Katsuyu nearly 2 meters high appeared on the ground. Master Shinta. Katsuyu breathed gently, twisted the tentacles and glanced at the little fat man lying down. Do you want to treat Dingshu? Shinta nodded, lifted Akamaiki Dingshu's collar and put him on Katsuyu's back. That's right, sorry to trouble you, there is another one here. With a thought, he formed a special space with Yin Dun, wrapped Katsuyu and Dingshu, raised his feet and made another space jump, and brought them to Nara Luwei's side together. At this time, Lu Wei is sitting at the bottom of a big tree, watching the little monster challenge the big devil Tsunade in the distance. Shinta, you're here. Seeing Shinta and Katsuyu suddenly appearing, Nara raised her hand to say hello, and stood up and climbed on Katsuyu's back. Green treatment chakra is extending from Dingshu's body to him. At this time, Tsunade just punched the Red Giant Fish to the point of death. Looks like Tsunade's battle is over. Uchiha Shinta took Katsuyu and the two on his back to the Tsunade battle. Red Giant Fish sighed. Uchiha Shinta observed the wound of the Red Giant Fish, and found that granulation was constantly growing. Trying to heal, he couldn't help but be amazed. What a tenacious vitality. Unfortunately, because of the large wound, this carp lake monster, which has been raging for more than a month, is still unable to escape the end of death after all. He stepped forward, and a chakra line was connected to the giant beast's body, searching for the energy in it. Ah, here I am. The chakra thread was retracted and turned into a hollow sphere in Shinta's palm, and the three of Tsunade could feel an invisible energy swimming in it, making their bodies feel like they were about to move. Hee. Sure enough, it has the power to evolve life. But it can only be pure physical growth. Shinta raised his hand to snuff out the chakra ball in his hand, and the invisible energy inside was integrated into his own chakra nature by. In the horrified eyes of the three of Tsunade, he raised his hand to take a picture of a rabbit from a distant forest, and poured a little chakra into his body, highlighting the characteristics of life evolution and physical growth. The white rabbit immediately twisted its muscles and began to grow in size, and it became impossible to grab its Uchiha Shinta with one hand, and threw it on the ground. Chirp. The white rabbit struggled, flakes of white fur all over his body fell off, and layers of muscles popped up like cola bubbles. A moment later, a 1-story-high muscular giant rabbit appeared on the spot. Its skin is red, its muscles are bulging, strong and powerful. It looks like a rabbit that only loves fitness. Chirp. The gigantic rabbit that stopped changing screamed, the sound vibrated in all directions, and Tsunade's hair was dancing. It turned its head and aimed at Uchiha Shinta, the instigator, and opened its mouth full of dyes to bite directly. Boom. Uchiha Shinta raised his hand and punched, and the dark power realm that Tsunade could only concentrate on came at hand, and its power penetrated deep into the atoms. The rabbit in front of him was blown away with the wind, leaving only the white hair that had faded before to prove its existence. From today, I, Monster Maker. He turned his head to look at Tsunade, Lu Wei and Dingshu, who were stunned, and pointed to the giant red fish that was breathing in but not out. Tsunade, you said that you have eaten natural energy animals before, so this upgraded carp should also be able to do it. Tsunade looked at the giant red fish, and stepped forward to flick its muscles. After this fish has been upgraded, its meat quality is already close to that of animals on land, so it should be fine to roast. Then we'll eat the red giant fish barbecue tonight. Uchiha Shinta makes a deal. Gudong. Akamaiki Dingshu's throat throbbed just after waking up. The chakra from Yangdun nature transformation can maintain cell activity very well, so when cooking, you can use chakra properly to keep the ingredients fresh. Tsunade cut off a piece of upgraded fish with kunai, and the green chakra lit up in her hand, covering the fish completely. As the only person present who had eaten natural energy upgraded creatures before, she was teaching 3 disciples how to make delicious food. Shinta made a hearth, Lu Wei went to fetch water, Dingshu went to prepare dry branches. Tsunade tells the main points of making. Red giant fish, condenses chakra scalpel with one hand, and cuts evenly on the fish. As long as it is meat, it can generally be used for steaming, boiling, grilling, etc. The specific method of use depends on the tools and seasonings. We are in the wild now, just make a simple barbecue. Uchiha Shinta watched Tsunade handle the fish in an orderly manner. Obviously she is not a novice. She originally wanted to take this big fish to the village for help, but she became interested in her skills. He raised his hand to stop Lu Wei and Dingshu's actions, and then Uchiha Shinta clasped his hands together in the ritual sense of performing ninjutsu. Earth-style universal cooktop technique. In the sound of booming, the land in front of Tsunade uplifted silently, forming an 8-meter-long and 2-meter-wide jade hearth, on which pots, bowls, ladles, pots, barbecue grills, etc. are all available, all of which are made of iron. Shinta collected the iron sand from the ground and smelted it at a high temperature with fire-attributed nature transformation. At the same time, with the stove as the source, the ground was leveled all the way to the foot of the mountain, and unified into a marble texture, which was dust-free, clean and translucent. With your skills, you can go to build houses for others and do decorations without worrying about food and drink. Tsunade took a plate from the stove, put the processed fish in his hand, and teased Shinta. She was not surprised by Shinta's shaping of the Senju vs Uchiha arena before, or it was because I have seen Shinta's infrastructure level, and asked him to get this stove. Nara Lu Wei and Akamaiki Dingshu don't have this concentration. When they saw this scene for the first time, they opened their mouths wide at the same time. Unlike Akamaiki, who has focused on learning how to eat since childhood, Nara, who is rich in theoretical knowledge, understands how exaggerated the amount of chakra nature transformation and chakra is needed to achieve this step. To put it bluntly, even if it is yin, he has never heard of it being able to do this. The so-called gap with Tsunade-sensei is only a little bit. Shinta, are you serious? Nara dear micro murmured. Uchiha Shinta ignored the ridicule and shock of Tsunade and the others, and continued to shape the outdoor barbecue site. Chakra circulated in his body, and the dual attributes of fire and earth nature transformation continued to activate. A 3-finger thick water pipe was shaped by him washing vegetables on the stove. A faucet is installed at the end, and the bottom of the water pipe goes deep into the soil layer, and it turns straight to the inside of the mountain on the side, connecting the groundwater aquifer. He turned on the faucet. Using the wind attribute nature transformation, the air inside the water pipe flowed out rapidly, blowing the pots and pans on the vertical shelf on the stove and jingling. Crash! After a few seconds, a violent water stream flowed out of the faucet, and Shinta, who had tested the water quality, turned it off immediately. Finally, Shinta came to the front of the stove, raised his hand to the stove, and tapped a chakra, in which the fire attribute chakra nature transformation, and set the associated temperature debugging program in it. Connect the switch on the surface of the stove, and the pointer on it can control the temperature of the stove from 0 to 1400 degrees. The 5-star stove is built. Da! Uchiha Shinta snapped his fingers and looked at Tsunade, who kept twisting the switch to test the function of the stove. With a thought, various seasonings appeared on the stove and listed on the stove from the common space opened by Yin Dun. Tsunade, I have already set up the facilities for you, just waiting for you to show off your cooking skills. Don't worry, your stove is very useful, and there is even a 1-button cleaning. Let me try it. Tsunade was so confident that she almost patted her chest to assure her. Curious about the new facility, she raised her hand and pressed a red button. Shinta was not in a hurry to stop him, and watched Tsunade pointing. The chakra he threw into the stove just now suddenly started the high-intensity fire attribute nature transformation. A high temperature spread from the stove, instantly wrapped the stove except where Tsunade pointed. It didn't dissipate until a second later. With a soft sound, the meat of the red giant fish that Tsunade had processed just now turned into flying smoke. Tick-tock. Tsunade was dripping with cold sweat, dripping from her forehead. Shocked by the high temperature just now, her heart was beating violently. Regardless of the destruction of the fruits of her labor just now, she turned her head and looked at Uchiha Shinta viciously. Are you trying to burn me to death and inherit my position in Konoha village? You actually put something so dangerous on this hearth. Almost killed me, do you know that? Shinta scratched his head embarrassingly. Ah, I didn't expect you to press it in such a hurry. I was going to tell you how to use it. And although it looked dangerous just now, I can protect you at any time by the side, so don't worry. Now, please continue to show your skills. Shinta tried to imitate might, bared her big teeth and gave Tsunade a thumbs up. Good, just wait for me. Tsunade felt a little warm when he said to Shinta, I can protect you at any time, and suddenly became angry. Originally, seeing so many tools and seasonings, she planned to make a trinity of steaming, grilling, and boiling, so she decided that only a barbecue would be enough. I saw Tsunade striding forward aggressively, walking to the side of the red giant fish, who still had subtle nervous reactions, and cut off a piece of red snowflake-textured meat again, quickly completed the pre-processing, and directly strung it on the stove with an iron stick superior. That's how you handle it, have you learned it? Now Lu Wei and Ding Shu are processing the fish according to the process just now. Shinta, you are in charge of using Yang Dun chakra to warm up the cells and keep the fish fresh. I am in charge of baking. Questions? No, multi-person pipeline cooperation is indeed faster than single-person work. Uchiha Shinta points out a Yang escape chakra, suppresses the healing properties of chakra, maintains a chakra line, pretends to be lazy on the inner stone chair in the gazebo made by hand when making the stove. Nara Lu Wei and Akamaiki Dingshu quickly skewered dozens of skewers, and the grill in the palm of Tsunade was filled with the smell of meat, covering all sides. After about 10 minutes, the chakra of Tsunade spreads from the body to the skewers, feeling that the skewers are already mature, sprinkle the last seasonings, and let's start. It's baked. Lu Wei, you too, wash your hands, and eat 2 skewers each. Shinta didn't need to call, as the venue provided, he took the initiative to go forward to receive 2 skewers of grilled fish, and sat on the stone chair for a while with his mouth open to try to bite off. Yeah, the taste is delicious, the meat is tender, and the spiciness is moderate. Tsunade-ji, your skills are good. He compared his thumbs to Tsunade, and was about to praise Lan Shin for his skillful hand and Tiancheng for his quality, when he suddenly turned his head and looked in the direction of Liu village, and said a cautious voice sounded at the edge of the open space. Master Tsunade, have you cured the red giant fish yet? Smiling and enjoying Tsunade praised by Shinta, they only realized it when they heard the voice. After the battle, they ate barbecue and forgot the mission sender in the village. She quickly turned her head and shouted towards the edge of the open space. Village Chief Kojira, please come here. The red giant fish has been killed by us. At the edge of the open space, Kojira poked his head out and stepped tentatively on the marble floor. Looking at the smooth, translucent and clearly visible ground under his feet, Village Chief Liu gasped. Hiss. Gritting his teeth, he walked carefully on the marble floor, and it took about half a minute to come to Tsunade. He was amazed when he saw the jade stove. Afterwards, his eyes fixed on the red giant fish, who fell on the ground, and he couldn't help being overjoyed. Dageza bowed down to Tsunade and others. Thank you, Master Tsunade. Thank you for helping us get rid of the water monster. Finally, we can fish again in our village and don't have to risk our lives into the mountains. He wiped his tears, stood up consciously, gestured to the forest, and dozens of young and strong men came out of the forest, holding hunting bows. After bowing to Tsunade and the others, they turned and walked towards the village. This is everyone in our village who can draw bows and arrows. I heard that there was no sound here, so they volunteered to help deal with the red giant fish. I didn't know that, Master Tsunade, you are so powerful, and you can easily kill it. Listening to Kojira's narration, Shinta's heart moved, and he suddenly asked him. With so many of you coming here, aren't you afraid of being hurt by the red giant fish? Kojira, the head of Liu village, glanced at Uchiha Shinta, who looked serious. He paused for a moment when he was going to say a few words, and suddenly smiled wryly, and chose to tell the truth. Of course I'm afraid, but we don't have enough food in our village. Without a safe carp lake, hunting in the mountains is also dangerous. With the help of you, Master Tsunade, facing the red giant fish, that is getting bigger and bigger these days, today is our best chance to get rid of it. The people in the village also came here together for their own better life in the future. That's it. Uchiha Shinta was thoughtful, looked up at Tsunade, and saw that she pointed to the giant fish to herself, and then, Zhuang Mo's nodded. Shinta understands. Village Chief Kojira, please call everyone in the village over. Today, our third class treats you to a carp feast. Tsunade followed up with emphasis. This fish has been impregnated with special energy. Ordinary people can increase their strength by 20 to 30 catties after eating it. Unfortunately, it is only effective for the first time. If you want to strengthen it, you have to find other upgraded animals. It just so happens that we can't eat so much, and the special energy dissipates quickly, so hurry up to the village and call everyone in the village. Uchiha Shinta chimed in. That's right, remember to bring seasonings, so you won't need any kitchen utensils. He raised his foot, and the square swelled with a boom, a total of 60 identical stoves. The water pipes on them were connected to the groundwater in the mountain, and there was chakra energy in the stoves. This is. Kojira, the head of Liu village, watched the whole open space turned into a large kitchen. After a moment of stupefaction, he bowed to Tsunade and the others again with tears in his eyes, his voice choked. Master Tsunade, Master Shinta, and Lu Wei and Ding Shu. Thank you for your help to our Liu village. Thank you so much. I can only mobilize everyone to rename Liu village as Chef Village, to commemorate the kindness of adults. After thanking him again and again, Kojira trotted all the way to the village, leaving Tsunade and Shinta staring at each other. Uchiha Shinta open. Chef Village. Is too bad, huh? That night, the bonfire party in Liu village was a great success. Uchiha Shinta pointed out Wind's style, and cut the red giant fish into pieces. Except for satisfying the appetite of the third class, the rest fell evenly on the 60 stoves. It took Kojira about an hour to organize all the people in the village, including young and old, to come to the hearth plaza established by Shinta. The women are in charge of skewering the meat, and the men are in charge of baking. Under the red light of the hearth, the elderly and children enjoy delicious food together. Uchiha Shinta and Tsunade sat on a tree branch by the side of the square after eating, shaking their legs and looking at the joy below. They were also infected and smiled. Shinta focused his attention on his teammates, and couldn't help complaining when he saw the barbecue that was still stacking. Ding Shu is still so good at eating. I think he ate at least 30 catties of meat. Ha ha. Tsunade's chuckle sounded. She watched Lu Wei and Ding Shu eating skewered meat while grilling, and said a few words of justice for her students. Tian Dingshu and Lu Wei are also working hard these days. Lu Wei is practicing shadow imitation and yin dun nature transformation every day, and the power of shadow secrets has greatly improved. And Ding Shu, he keeps eating to improve. The amount of chakra has also increased a lot compared to the test 2 weeks ago. As teammates, they are working hard to catch up with you. The evening breeze blows in the forest, dissipating the heat of the day. Shinta raised his finger slightly, and little sparks appeared, drifting into the square with the cool breeze in the forest, like a magic, bringing a burst of cheers from Yutong. I know, it's not just them, you are also working hard. Including Nawaki, Hibiki Inuzuka, Hiyashi, Hazashi, these people, I can see clearly. When people see perfection, they will unconsciously imitate it. My strength is really distressing. Uchiha Shinta shook his head narcissistically, making Tsunade Haim a little unsteady sitting on the branch. Versailles. Looking at Tsunade's unfriendly gaze, Shinta restrained his smile, and made a serious promise to her and to himself. Maybe there is no promised land, maybe there is no promised time, but I can be the promised man. Ever since he crossed over, he has possessed an unparalleled talent in the world, wielding an invincible authority, but he also often thinks and asks himself in his heart, what path will he, who is destined to be invincible, take in the future? Is it an emperor, a hermit, a knight, a fairy, or a god? In the end, he chose nothing. How can the adult world be so simple? The 3 views shaped by the memory of the previous life have influenced Uchiha Shinta's life, so that he will not be constrained by a fixed identity. Song has established the bottom line of morality in his heart. What is morality? Confucius said. Don't do to others what you don't want yourself to do to yourself. This is the bottom line he insists on. If the wicked do evil, if they can carry out their obsession and dare to tolerate themselves, Uchiha Shinta is also willing to give a trial. If a good person does good deeds out of the heart, if he can stand upright and upright, Uchiha Shinta will not hesitate to give him protection. Uchiha Shinta can be a god, a big devil, a tyrant, or a passerby. He thinks that his ideal future should be like a mirror, reflecting the wishes of the world and transforming according to people's hearts. I will witness your growth. I will witness your struggle. I will witness your sweat. I will witness your success. I will witness your failure. I will witness your perseverance. My heart is everything, moving with the world. I am the one who disturbs all destiny, and the one who maintains all destiny. Uchiha Shinta is sitting next to Tsunade, baring her big teeth and giving her thumbs up. Such unscrupulous movements, in Tsunade's eyes, there is a kind of eternal divinity. Tsunade Heim, work hard. Tsunade was silent for a while, then suddenly turned his head with reddish ears, looking at the commotion below. Cut, who knows what you think? I'm still waiting for you to teach me, Huali. Uchiha Shinta also smiled and turned to look at the square. Kojiro was chatting with Lu Wei and Ding Shu. A group of children were chasing the sparks Shinta released together. Run around. The fireworks in this world are really beautiful. The bonfire party that night lasted until more than 9 o'clock, and ended with the cheers brought by the colorful fireworks released by Uchiha Shinta. Fire style nature transformation, different temperatures and different colors 0. And because it was already dark, the third team came to the house of the village head Kojiro and stayed for one night accompanied by the sound of insects in the countryside. Next morning, Uchiha Shinta and others, who were awakened by the crowing of chickens, had breakfast and came to the carp lake, when they were blocked by many figures that suddenly appeared in front of them. These people are plainly dressed, most of them have patches sewn on their bodies, and their faces are familiar from yesterday's grilled fish party. A rough count is about 600 people, which is not much different from yesterday's number. It should be that all the villagers have come. Village Chief Kojiro, are you? Tsunade took a step forward, looked at the silent villagers. To the leading age Jiro asked. Everyone in the village heard that you are going back this morning, so they came here to see you off. To express our gratitude to Mr. Tsunade for your help, everyone went to the lake this morning to catch 2 golden carps. I hope you can accept them, Mr. Tsunade. Kojiro carried a wooden bucket and handed it to Tsunade. Inside, 2 golden carps were swimming non-stop. Tsunade looked up at the sincere and expectant eyes of the villagers in front of him, turned his head and exchanged glances with the 3 of Shinta, and raised his hand to take the wooden barrel from Kojiro's hand. Since it's the wishes of the villagers, we accept it without hesitation. Seeing Tsunade take over, Kojiro heaved a sigh of relief, and stepped aside to get out of the way, and the gathered villagers also parted to both sides. There is also the matter of changing the name of the village. I discussed it with Lu Wei yesterday. The name, Chef Village, is indeed not very good. The village discussed again and decided to change the name to Grilled Fish Village, to commemorate Master Tsunade, you retired from Red Giant Fish thing. Tsunade turned his head and handed the bucket to Shinta. When he heard Kojiro mention the name of the village, he couldn't help but smile awkwardly. Well, as long as you are happy. Then our village will be called Grilled Fish Village, from today on. Kojiro raised his hands and led the villagers to shout. Grilled Fish Village, thanks to the ninja-sama of Konoha Village. From Carp Village to Grilled Fish Village, the fish in the lake are too difficult. Looking at the cheering villagers, the third team thought to themselves. Say goodbye to Carp Village crossed out, and now you should be enthusiastic villagers of Grilled Fish Village. The third class, under the leadership of the class teacher Tsunade, embarked on a vacation journey to Tango Country for public benefit. Without Kojiro as an ordinary person, Uchiha Shinta and his group of 4 used ninja footsteps, and it took only half a day to enter the territory of Yuno Country in the afternoon. Yuno Country is a small country located in the northeast of the Fire Country, facing the sea on 3 sides. Because the terrain is low, there is geothermal heat underground and there are gushing hot springs everywhere in the country. The citizens of Tango Country have built hot spring villas everywhere according to local characteristics. It can be said that Tango Country is recognized as a beautiful place suitable for leisure, entertainment and relaxation. The name of the ninja village there is Tang Ninja Village. Relying on tourism resources, Tang Ninja Village can be self-sufficient, and the villagers advocate peace, so it has the title of Ninja Village Who Forgets War. The future Akatsuki organization Immortal Hidan defected and joined Akatsuki because he was eager to fight and couldn't bear the atmosphere in the village, so he killed all the people around him. Uchiha Shinta paused slightly when he stepped into the country of Tang, and entered the Weird Force True Vision mode in his heart. He looked up at the sky, looked down at the ground, his expression changed slightly, and then he continued to walk forward. From his special perspective just now, the entire Tang dynasty was shrouded in black smoke. The sulfur and lava deep in the ground affect reality in a different space, boiling the groundwater and creating the hot spring wonders of Yuno country. The darkness in the sky weighs down on everyone's heart, continuously sucking out the country's anger, jealousy, unwillingness and other dark emotions. On a distant spatial scale, a gigantic demon with a bull's head, a human body, and red skin is wandering in the lava hell, and the emotions extracted from Tango Kingdom continue to pour into its mouth from nothingness, making it stronger and stronger. Is this a vil god? Uchiha Shinta on the move murmurs. Chapter 91. Uchiha Shinta walks into the border of Unokuni. Ignoring the oppressive feeling from the high-latitude perspective, the entire Yuno kingdom is green, and there is a moist atmosphere in the air all the time. All the plants in the smoke and water infiltration look verdant, which makes people want to come forward to watch and play carefully. Shinta has no interest in maintaining peace and fighting evil gods for the time being. He, Nara Lue, and Akamaiki Dingshu followed Tsunade, who was familiar with the road, and ran quickly in the territory of Tango country, and came to a small town halfway up the mountain. This is the famous Tongshan town, in Unokuni Onsen. Tsunade led the way and introduced the situation of the town to the three of them. Legends. In ancient times, there were gods and demons who were constantly fighting in the sky. During the battle, the demon fell into a disadvantage and was knocked down by the gods to the earth and sealed in the ground. And Tongshan town was the location where the demon was sealed at that time, so hot springs with a smell of sulfur kept gushing out from the ground. After being discovered by the villagers of the country of Tang, they gathered here and established a town. Akamaiki Dingshu was a little curious, and asked Tsunade. Tsunade-sensei, are there really demons? Puff. Tsunade sneered, directly shattering Dingshu's curiosity. How can there be any demons? There are such legends in almost every town or village in Tango country. According to the investigation of the ninjas of the 5 great nations, the so-called sulfur-smelling hot springs are because there is lava under the groundwater, which heats the water through the rock layer, and some minerals flow out with the hot springs, which naturally smell of sulfur. This, Tongshan town, is just because it is halfway up the mountain, taking advantage of the location where the hot springs flow down, and the facilities are better developed. Okay, here we are. Tsunade stopped explaining to Akamaiki Dingshu, walked to a gate and stood still. Uchiha Shinta looked up, and Yushan Hot Spring Museum was impressively engraved on the wooden signboard. Welcome, X8. 4 young women on the left and right, wearing kimonos, bowed to Shinta who walked into the hot spring. Open 2 independent hot spring rooms, one with 3 boys and one with 1 girl, without any other special services. Tsunade took the order skillfully, and Uchiha only felt that there was a story in it. Special service. Can you still rub your feet? Okay, guests please follow me. No one noticed that Shinta's thinking diverged, and the 2 welcome guests standing at the innermost took a step at the same time, pressing their left hands on their stomachs, and forming palms with their right hands to guide the 4 of Tsunade. Soon, they came to the intersection of male and female hot spring rooms. Shinta saw from the road signs, the male hot spring room was on the left, the female hot spring room was on the right, and the mixed bathing hot spring room was in the middle. Go to the hot spring over there, remember not to drink alcohol, get up before noon tomorrow, we will go back in the afternoon. If there is something wrong, Lu Wei and Dingshu can find Shinta, he can solve it. After Tsunade explained the schedule, he flung Uchiha Shinta and the 3 of them away in a cool manner, followed a welcome guest to the female hot spring room to relax in the hot spring, leaving the 3 of Shinta looking at each other in dismay. Ahem, have you ever soaked in a hot spring before? Uchiha Shinta glanced at the remaining welcome guest, and asked Nara Lue and Akamaiki Dingshu. No, Lu Wei and Dingshu shook their heads in unison, they looked at each other, and Lu Wei responded. Dingshu and I have been to the Konoha bathhouse with our parents before, but we have never been to the hot spring. What about you, Shinta? Uchiha Shinta also shook his head. I haven't been there either. The remaining welcome guest was very qualified. Hearing that the three of Shinta hadn't soaked in the hot spring, he didn't change his face. He just kept smiling and bowed to guide the three of them to the left. 3 guests, please come with me. The male hot spring room here has specific hot spring bathing rules. You can watch it yourself, or you can ask us. There are people on duty around the clock outside the hot spring. Uchiha Shinta looked at each other with Naralue and Akamaiki Dingshu. Facing the two, you go first, eyes, he sighed and followed the welcome guests first. As the strongest person, is N holding the flag. Squeak. The young female welcome pushed open the wooden door of the hot spring room, and Uchiha Shinta walked into it first. The purpose of entry is an all-wooden Edo-style room, a Tankwan painting screen, a pine kung fu coffee table, 2 symmetrical feng shui trees, 4-seater tatami, the wall depicts the murals of gods and demons in light colors, and the roof hangs upside down. The lamps in the room are sprinkled with dim light, which looks quite old-fashioned. This is the living room. The 3 guests can gather here after soaking in the hot spring. To the left is the corridor leading to the hot spring pool. The entrance to the accommodation room is also in the corridor. A slim kimono led the way, leading the 3 of Shinta along the aisle and walking inwards. Through the half-open door, you can see 4 rooms arranged in sequence on the aisle, all on the side of the living room, 7-7. On the other side is a wooden sliding door. Now close the water vapor barrier. If you open the sliding door, you can walk directly from the room into the spring. Going around the aisle, you can see an irregular circular hot spring pool in the center of the open-air yard, surrounded by round stones as a boundary. At the entrance of the corner, there is a sign of Tankwan Rules, which reads, rinse your body with warm water before entering the bath, do not bring the bathtub into the hot spring pool, do not enter the bath after drinking a lot of alcohol, soak in the hot spring for 20 minutes, and many more. The first thing to do in a hot spring is, here is a bathtub. Secondly, here are. The hostess brought the 3 of Shinta, familiarized with the hot spring facilities and hot spring essentials, then bowed and exited the room. Our hot springs are imported directly from the mountain. The water in each hot spring pool is an independent pipeline, and guests can enjoy it with confidence. If there is anything, you can call at the door, and there are waiters on duty at any time. Finally, I wish you a happy bathing. Uchiha Shinta watched the gate close, turned to Naralue and Akamaiki Dingshu. Let's divide the rooms first, organize our belongings each, and meet at Tankwan in the country. After speaking, he walked into the first room near the living room. Lu Wei and Ding Shu looked at each other, nodded to each other, and entered the second and third rooms respectively. 10 minutes later. Ah, comfortable. Uchiha Shinta is lying in the hot spring pool, wearing swimming trunks on his lower body, sinking into the hot spring with only his head outside, leaning against the edge to enjoy the comfort of the warm water enveloping his whole body. Naralue and Akamaiki Dingshu were also lying on their backs not far away, squinting their eyes half closed in the mineral water to recuperate. Human beings who are idle can't resist 8 trigrams, even the seemingly wise and calm Nara clan is no exception. Rather, it is precisely because the Nara family thinks a lot, so their 8 trigrams think more. Therefore, after the hot spring pool was quiet for a while, the Dr. Yi Luwei suddenly spoke. Shinta, you are very familiar with Tsunade-sensei. Uchiha Shinta closed his eyes and responded casually. Ah, maybe it's because I often play cards with her. Naralue does not believe it. I'm not talking about this familiarity, but about. He paused, thinking about the words. It's the kind of familiarity that the 2 sides have experienced special things together, just like my father and Ding Shu's father went to the battlefield together, and they have this familiarity when they meet. Did you go on any mission with Tsunade-sensei? Akamaiki Dingshu's ears were quietly pricked up, secretly listening to the 2 chatting. It doesn't have to be a mission. Shinta still closed his eyes, correcting Lu Wei's statement. I just had some friendly exchanges with Tsunade. Friendly exchange. Naralue is getting more and more curious. Well, competing for will in a fair battle, striving to be stronger in the shame of failure, isn't that how ninjas communicate? Uchiha Shinta pretends to be deep. I see. Naralue pretends to understand. Then who is stronger, Shinta, you or the teacher? Why do I always feel that the teacher can't beat you? Akamaiki Tingshu can't read the atmosphere, interrupting the sense of inscrutability created by Shinta and Nara Shikamaru. Didn't Shinta say it before? There's a little gap between him and teacher Tsunade. Dingshu, just treat him as strong as teacher. From the daily communication, Nara Lue has long discovered that Mr. Tsunade was obviously defeated by Shinta, but in the future to maintain the coercion of Mr. Tsunade, to prevent Akamaiki Dingshu from being put on small shoes, he can only cooperate with Shinta and Tsunade to maintain save face. Soga. Uchiha Shinta lay leisurely in the hot spring, only drifting towards the lava hell he sensed before. The beauty of life lies in its unpredictability. In a long time scale, no matter how small the possibility is, as long as there is a probability, it will definitely happen. Sometimes, in the main world, there will be some people who are too inspired, able to sense the distant space connected to the location, and put their consciousness into it. So, you saw me. The gigantic bull-horned demon constantly wandering around in the lava hell, absorbing dark emotions, suddenly stopped, raised his head and looked at the sky with huge round eyes, and uttered complicated syllables in his mouth. Italy spread to the whole territory of hell. Uchiha Shinta, who was observing hell in all directions and studying the structure of the horned demon deep inside his body, had a hard move and cast a ray of thought. The horned troll looked at the place with his head, and strands of energy emerged from nothingness, slowly gathered together, forming an incandescent light ball, making this world feel bright for the first time. After a while, the white light dissipated, and Uchiha Shinta appeared in the air in a black costume and a white royal robe, facing the horned troll. "Hello, Mr. Cthulhu, my name is Uchiha Shinta, and I want to make friends with you. Then see whether you are evil and whether you agree with me, and then decide whether to release, beat or kill, whether you want to be subdued." Friend. The horned troll with its feet standing inside the lava froze for a moment, then burst out laughing. "Ha ha 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 ha, friend, you actually said you want to be friends with me. Ha 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 ha." The horned troll no longer uttered the complicated syllables before, and the language in his mouth has changed into an ancient language of the ninja world, which is slightly different from the current lingua franca, only the mighty mental fluctuations have not changed, conveying his meaning exactly to Uchiha Shinta. Uchiha Shinta quietly watched the bullhorn troll laughing, letting the sound waves form rings in the air. The magma that was originally calm and vibrating kept churning, and some solidified lava on the ground continued to sink into the fiery red magma sea. He is nothing more than the imperial robe fluttering in the wind behind his back. He was not surprised that the horned troll could find him. All his skills are not professionally hidden. When he observed the horned troll in front of him just now, he did not deliberately improve the dimension of thinking, or use illusion to suppress the opponent's senses. It's like walking in an open space and being illuminated by the sun. Even if you don't look up, you can still feel the sun above your head. Uchiha Shinta is the great sun. His thoughts are like sunshine, forcibly shining on others and being induced by others at the same time. Originally, after hearing the tentative words of the horned troll, Uchiha Shinta wanted to make 06 use the free energy in this space to directly shape the clone, but found that the whole thing was controlled by the horned troll in front of him. Do not just energy, but also the matter and rules of this space. In this world, the horned troll seems to be Dormammu, the master of the dark dimension in Marvel, and has mastered the authority of this space. If Uchiha Shinta wants to use this space energy to descend to the clone, he will inevitably have a feeling of robbing the house and showing off to the head of the household. I still don't know that this bullhorn troll who has withdrawn from the dark emotions of the people of the country of soup is evil, so Shinta can only show what it means to be born into the world. Expand the field with the body replacement technique, roam the two worlds with your mind, create energy with the chakra refining technique, shape the body with the clone technique, and appear in this world full of dark and negative energy like light descending from the sky. It's definitely not trying to be handsome in front of this guy who looks fierce at first sight. Under Uchiha Shinta's calm gaze, the horned troll's laughter died down. You are a descendant of Otsutsuki Yuya. I smell the evil that runs deep in my veins. I didn't expect that one day, the descendants of that guy would enter here. Uchiha Shinta frowned slightly, and was very interested in what the horned troll said, so he decided to have a good chat with him. Oh, Otsutsuki Yuya. Do you know him? And Mr. Cthulhu, what do you call him? You can call me the master of dark energy, the master of negative emotions, the master of the lava hell, Chemo. The bull-horned troll stared wide-eyed, and exhaled loudly to vibrate the surrounding atmosphere. As for whether I know Otsutsuki Yuya or not, let me tell you slowly later. He raised a giant hand, tearing through the atmosphere with a roar, and grabbed the figure of Uchiha Shinta in the air, and the whole lava world echoed accordingly. Now, you sleep in my palm first. Uchiha Shinta looked around. The whole space seemed to be collapsing towards Kamosha's palm. A powerful force oppressed him to fall forward. Well, it's about 10 times as powerful as 9 tails. Shinta stretched out his right hand, flicked in the water-like space, and compared the 9 tails he saw when he sneaked into the Vortex Mito's sealed space last time, evaluating the output of the horned troll in front of him. Although it's not impossible to dodge, but, have you heard of a palm technique that descends from the sky? He raised his head and looked at the giant hand that had come before him, but he seemed to meet Kamosha's indifferent eyes through the palm of his hand, and the sound he made also released mental fluctuations, which Kamosh could hear clearly. Physical technique, strange power, Tathagata god palm, broken level output. He Uchiha Shinta is such a generous person, even if he is despised by others, he decided to give the evil god a little respect. I saw Shinta's left hand standing upright in front of his chest, and his right hand slowly pressing forward. An unrivaled palm force waved with his right hand, pressing down on the bull's horn from top to bottom. There are cracks in the space around the edge of the palm force, showing the strength of the force, and the direction the palm is facing is pitch black, and the entire space is completely shattered. Under such a huge pressure, the pressure of the lava space, the big hands of the horned troll, and even Chemun's lava-baptized body, which is indestructible for 1,000 years, all disappeared like false phantoms. Boom! After shattering the attack and figure of Gimish with his palm, he slammed into the lava land, setting off a huge wave of magma, and the solidified lava on the entire surface shattered, and all he could see was a sea of flaming red magma that kept rolling, as if the whole world is about to collapse. Uchiha Shinta folded his palms and stood in midair with his hands behind his back. The white robe danced behind him, and the splashed magma seemed to be infinitely separated from him, and could only be at his feet all the time. He spoke calmly, and his voice spread everywhere. Come out, Kamosh, the majestic lord of the lava hell, why can't he die like this? Why are you avoiding me? As the voice fell, the dark emotional energy in the sky began to surge continuously, gathering in the middle to form clouds, forming Kamosh's horned face in the middle, roaring loudly. Descendants of Otsutsuki Yuya, I admit that I underestimated you just now. But what joke are you talking about avoiding? I am the Lord of Lava Hell. As long as I am in this space, I am eternal. Nothing can make me afraid. Even if Otsutsuki Yuya is here. Uchiha Shinta looked up at the huge face in the sky. The small size was in stark contrast to the huge face, but Kamosh, who was looking at him, always felt that he was the one looking up. With that palm just now, he already had a shadow in his heart. Tell me, how did you get here? I will give you the power of immortality. Even if you are smashed to pieces, you will not die. Kamosh's horned face begins to seduce and threaten. Otherwise, even if you can break my body apart again and again, you will face death one day. Uchiha katakana middle dot tit for tat katakana middle dot. Shinta ignored Kamosh's words, just sighed, and stepped towards the sky. It seems that we still have to get rid of your impression. Chemosh subconsciously sensed that something was wrong. The dark energies blocked him, the space stretched infinitely, and the time was chaotic and disorderly, forming a moat in front of him. After he was fully prepared, he once again rang out his voice to shake the surroundings. After all, you still choose to do it. I will brew your fear into fine wine and taste it for 1,000 years. You must know that everything in the world will eventually burn out, and only the people who rely on me can survive the eternal calamity. Don't you want to get an immortal body? As long as you rely on me, you can get everything. Uchiha Shinta turned a deaf ear, and in the body replacement technique mode, seemed to be wandering in a parallel universe, easily wading through the trap set by Kamosh. With a twitch in his heart, the world rule net of lava hell appeared in front of his eyes. Is this the essence of lava hell? It's still much worse than the Hokage world. If the rule of the Hokage world is an elephant, the rule of lava hell should be the leg hair of an elephant. Uchiha Shinta slowly raised his right fist, concentrated his mind and swung it forward. Mr. Kamosh, you are too arrogant. I think you should put down the power in your hands and live in seclusion here. Physical art's strange power vigorously create miracles. After the words fell, the evil god, horned troll, Kamosh felt that his authority in the lava hell had been blown away with a punch, and his eyes went dark, and he lost 80% of himself in an instant, becoming nothing but an empty shell. Can authority be lost like this? Rows of dark energy flowed towards the surface of the magma sea, and Kamosh stood blankly in the magma, feeling very strange to the lava hell that had wandered for thousands of years. Uchiha Shinta raises his right fist to bring Kamosh's attention back. Mr. Cthulhu, do you know Otsutsuki Yuya? Can you tell me about your experience? Different space. Lava hell. A transparent gazebo made of ice crystals floats on the sea of magma. There are seats made of ice inside, which are transparent into crystals. The surrounding columns are coiled with ice dragons, and the dragon kisses are facing directly below. The magma below kept impacting the base of the gazebo, and was frozen into black lava by the continuous cold air spit out from the mouth of the chibi, and then sank into the fiery red magma sea under the impact of the magma. Uchiha Shinta and the horned troll Kamosh sat facing each other in the gazebo and listened to his past history. I heard about Otsutsuki Yuya for the first time. He was just a wandering monk. It is said that he has some relationship with the goddess of Uno. I always heard that there was some big demon that Yuya expelled. During the narration, Kamosh twisted his body slightly. He, who had never seen ice and snow in thousands of years, felt particularly uncomfortable with the cold air seeping out of the gazebo. At that time, I had already opened up the lava hell, and created a shadow clone in the current location of Tango country to maintain the peace of that land. Uchiha Shinta interrupted suddenly. No matter what Kamosh said about maintaining peace was true or false, he was very interested in Kamosh's saying that he called the Sage of Six Paths. Only. Why do you call Otsutsuki Yuya only? Kamosh's shrunken copper bell looked at Uchiha Shinta, a little dazed by his curiosity. Isn't this normal? Gods and monsters called it like that at the time. Ahem. Let's continue. Uchiha Shinta coughed twice to cover up his embarrassment, and waved Kamosh to continue talking. Suddenly one day, Otsutsuki Yuya, who was wandering around the world, came to my territory holding a tin staff. Kamosh continues to sink into the memories of the past, and the deep voice surrounds the gazebo. I thought it was just passing by at that time. After all, my country belonged to a rare safe area at that time. No Zonluan, no fights, no arguments, no quarrels. All lived together in peace and quiet. It is rumored that the demons that Otsutsuki Yuya retreated from are all evil demons who persecute and oppress human beings. As for the gods and demons who give human beings peace, they are all peaceful and friendly. Chimo raised his eyes and looked at Uchiha Shinta, who was listening with interest, and his tone gradually became angry. I don't know, after wandering around my country for a while, Otsutsuki Yuya suddenly came to my side, unreasonably scattered my shadow clone, sealed my lava hell, and made me unable to go out again. It's just an evil god who overturned my country and let me watch the earth fall into chaos. I can only try my best to pass through the seal and slowly absorb the dark emotions in human hearts, and keep the peace of this land like walking on thin ice. Oh, so you are still a good god. The corners of Uchiha Shinta's mouth curled up, watching the miniature version of the horned troll keep waving his hands, with an angry expression. Seeing Shinta's smile, Chimo gradually lost his expression and lowered his ferocious head. What's the matter? I uphold the will of peace and give the land peace, but I was sealed after being attacked by Otsutsuki Yuya, and I'm used to it. However, I still hope that you can help me open the seal, so that I can walk on the earth again and feel the hometown of Yuri. Uchiha Shinta looked at the anticipation piled up on Kamosh's ugly face, and suddenly laughed a little. Hee, you should have said these words to Otsutsuki Yuya too, right? I did tell ZA back then, but ZA sealed me directly for the sake of monopolizing the hegemony of the land. Kimo's face remained unchanged, and he continued to look at Uchiha Shinta with his copper bell eyes. So, can you tell me how peaceful your country was back then? Uchiha Shinta raised his right hand. Yukima asked. My country does not afford swords, wars, fights, disputes, quarrels. Everyone lives together peacefully and quietly. Kamosh calmly repeated what he had just said. Ha 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 ha. Uchiha Shinta lol. At that time, your country should be filled with darkness in the sky, and all human beings are walking dead. After Shinta entered the lava hell, the emotional absorption power he sensed increased hundreds of times, and the core was the horned demon Kimmich in front of him. If it is said that the power of drawing in the land of soup is 1, then the power of drawing in front of Kimo is at least 100, which can completely make people drained of emotions and become collapsed. Now Kamash is still using this ability non-stop, trying to absorb Shinta's emotions. In line with his words just now, it can only be said that, how can a beast be deceitful? You have absorbed all the dark emotions, and you will most likely continue to oppress the people through various means, forcing them to breed more dark emotions to be absorbed by you. Your growth direction should be the master of negative emotions. Quote, as the master of the lava hell, you decide what the world looks like. The magma that lasts for thousands of years should be the manifestation of your anger. Uchiha Shinta speculates about Kamash's kingdom. Ha 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 ha. After being exposed by Shinta, Kimura was not shocked, but laughed wildly again, and disappeared from the ice crystal pavilion with a swipe. The descendants of Otsutsuki Yuya are indeed in the same line as Yui. What's wrong with being under my rule? I have guaranteed their lives, but I have collected some emotions. You guys are going to embarrass me for these ants. Kamash's deep voice echoed throughout the lava space, without knowing where it started or where it would end. Unfortunately, you were still careless just now. Even if you separate me from the authority of the world, I am still the creator of the world. I have easily recovered my authority. I recognize your strength. I won't appear in front of you again, and give you a chance to separate authority from me. Now, you have nothing to do with me, go back to your own country quickly. The Lord of Lava Hell doesn't welcome you. The temperature of the fiery red magma sea continued to rise, churning more and more intensely, flapping on the ice crystal pavilion, but still unable to affect the pavilion, frozen by the cold air sprayed by the ice dragon and sinking below. Uchiha Shinta looked up, looked through the void, and saw the idea and the whole world fused together. And Kamash saw him too. Ants can't overturn a glass of water, and giant sharks can't overturn the ocean. That's why the ant says the glass of water cannot be shaken, and the giant shark says the ocean is immortal. However, as far as I am concerned, there is nothing in the world that cannot be surpassed. Uchiha Shinta raised his right fist again, and slowly swung it down towards the whole world. Physical technique strange power world correction fist. Shinta infused his fists with his mind, interfered with the concept, knocked out half of the mass of the entire lava world, and completely limited the range of Chamor's emotional absorption of Yuno country to the current standard. After one punch, Uchiha Shinta's figure gradually disappeared into nothingness, leaving only a lingering sound, which echoed non-stop around the ice crystal pavilion floating on the lava sea. Kamash, even if you are an evil god, your existence still brings peace to the hot spring town, and I really want to have a place to relax once in a while. But in order to prevent you from overabsorbing negative emotions in the future and ruining Tang country, I have put a lock on your ability. If one day, you can break my ban, I will come back and give you the same trial. Finally, Mr. Cthulhu, see you get well next time. Kamash's face gradually changed color, and expressions such as horror, anger, grievance, and happiness emerged on his hideous face, as if it was a difficult facial expression. Ah, Uchiha Shinta, Tongshan Hot Spring. In the hot spring pool, Uchiha Shinta, who was lying down enjoying the hot spring bath, slowly opened his eyes. Shinta, are you awake? Have a cup of hot milk. Nara Luwei observed his awakening, and pointed to the tray placed by the hot spring pool, with a cup of warm milk on it. Looking back, Lu Wei and Ding Shu both got up, sat down on the edge of the hot spring pool to rest, and nodded to him. This is what Teacher Tsunade ordered just now, and I asked the waiter to bring it over. And reminded us not to drink alcohol. Nara Lu Wei explained. Wow, Uchiha Shinta stood up, walked out of the hot spring pool, took a sip of milk. The milk is delicious. Tsunade tastes good. Putting down the milk, he looked at the clear blue sky of the Tang Kingdom with his normal vision, and said with emotion. The hot spring town is really peaceful. Will. Nara Lu Wei raised his hand and jumped on the wildebeest, surrounded Uchiha Shinta's jade again, and then returned the shogi to its original position with Shinta. Shinta, you should think more when you play chess. You have lost 5 games in less than an hour. Oh, shogi is really too difficult, let's go wherever we go. Uchiha Shinta sighed. Senju Hashirama said over 30 years ago, Nine Tails, your power is too great. I'm sorry, but I can't let you go. Then he grabbed Kurama with one hand, slapped him unconscious with the other hand, and sealed it in Mito's belly, making it glow for Konoha. Uchiha Shinta came out on top, thinking that in the lava hell, at least 6 paths level evil god Kimmich is too powerful, and once he comes out, he may be a social scene in the back of the head in American science fiction, so he can't be allowed to come out. Then he knocked out half of Kamosha's world with a single punch, and added a ban on him, allowing him to serve as a tool to maintain the peace of Tang Kingdom. Therefore, Uchiha Shinta, I am the rightful heir of the Will of Fire. Feeling good about himself, Shinta tasted Tsunade's heart milk to his heart's content, went back to the hot spring pool for 10 minutes, and came to the living room to rest with Nara Luwei and Akamaiki Tingshu. Coincidentally, there is a set of shogi placed on top of the tatami. At this time, Uchiha Shinta, who was a little swollen, decided to challenge the IQ. Right here, decide with Lianglu, who is the third-class shogi little prince. After all, for 4 years, he accompanied Uchiha Makoto's family to play the resourceful general chess with her, and got a high winning rate of 97 to 26. Before the start, Uchiha Shinta was triumphant. I'm very familiar with shogi. Then the results of the first game came out very quickly. Nara dear micro complexion unchanged. Will, Uchiha Shinta's complexion changed slightly to start the second game. Do you think I'm a novice? I eat too. Nara's expressionless face ends the second round. Shove in. Show. Shove in. A player of Japanese shogi can use one hand to return the pieces captured by one's side to the board to become one's own pieces. Game 3 Uchiha Shinta racked his brains. HMPH. I'll be able to weigh you soon. Weigh you. General in Japanese go. Nara dear slightly refreshed to end the third game. Speed. Will. Uchiha Shinta frowned and scratched his head. It turns out that you made the layout before. How cunning. But he still refused to admit defeat and started the fourth game, using the body replacement technique talent Open Hang to speed up his own flow and think about the game. Lu Wei, be serious. If you AGDH lost shogi for a few years, I will win it back. Nara Lu Wei was first forced into a long test by Shinta's chess moves, and then made a quick move. Flying car, horned line, Wei horse, Jade General, Dragon King, Jade General, Dragon horse, Yu. Shinta, I accidentally won this game again. Lu Wei, you are so insidious. Uchiha Shinta raised his hand and looked at the fist in his hand, feeling a little moved. Physical arts, strange power, and great strength make miracles against the current time. After thinking about it, he still gave up. It was just a game after all. Uchiha Shinta began to see tricks. As expected, shogi is more difficult than fighting ninjas. After all, I can show my talents without hesitation. Opening in ninjas. Honest man Uchiha Shinta began to complain. Nara Luwei didn't know that she was almost going back to the past, so she arranged the chess pieces and urged Shinta to continue playing chess. Do you want me to give up? If you are serious, I will give you 2 at most. Shinta's head is full of black lines, and he raises his hand to push an infantry in front of him. Don't. Come down quickly. I'm playing like a blast. Akamaiki Dingshu was sitting on the side seat, watching the two play chess and quietly eating the wild boar roasted at noon. When the match between Uchiha Shinta and Nara came to 13-0, he suddenly spoke. Are you hungry? Let's go to dinner. I can smell the barbecue downstairs. Uchiha Shinta immediately stood up with a whoosh. Dingshu is right. A ninja is not a profession where you can go hungry. Lu Wei, let's go. Let's eat first. Nara Lu Wei looked at the half-played shogi with some hesitation. Then this chess. Shinta walked over and took another shot. Nara dear leaned forward slightly. Let's go. Let's eat first. Let's talk about chess later. While pushing Nara Lu Wei forward, he thought to himself. Anyway, I won't play chess with Nara's family anymore. Let's practice with Makoto when I get home. After all, there are levels in the Hokage world, right? The three walked out of the hot spring room and came to the lobby to sit down. Uchiha Shinta greeted the kimono hostess I met earlier. Please go find Tsunade, the female ninja who came with us, and say we are waiting for her to come out to eat barbecue in the lobby. The female welcome in kimono bowed and walked towards the female hot spring room. After a few minutes, Tsunade walked over in a green uniform with wet blonde hair. Can't the three of you take a longer soak? This is a rare Unokuni hot spring. It is rich in minerals, which are good for the skin. If it's not on the way, it's impossible to come once a year. Mr. Tsunade, the staff of the hot spring just now said that the hot spring should not be soaked too much. If you soak for too long at a time, you will easily experience dizziness and general fatigue symptoms. True honesty. Akamaiki Tingshu seriously corrects mistakes in Tsunade's words. And it's not on the way. It's just that you brought us yourself. Uchiha Shinta learned to complain after experiencing the contrast between reality and shogi. Tsunade didn't care what Shinta said, but turned his head and looked at Akamaiki Dingshu seriously. Teacher, I am a medical ninja. Therefore, the symptoms of dizziness and general fatigue can be treated by myself, so it is okay to have more bubbles. I know. Hearing the gentle voice next to his ear, Akamaiki Dingshu nodded subconsciously for some reason. Satisfied, Tsunade turned around, glanced at the smiling Uchiha Shinta, waved his hand and walked out the door. Let's go, Teacher Tsunade, I will show you the night view of the hot spring town. Unokuni is a famous tourist destination, and Tangshan Town is also a famous volcanic hot spring spot in Unokuni. Therefore, the night in Tangshan Town is very lively. For Uchiha Shinta, Shinkiji's sapphire case Yuanshi is the most suitable for the scene in front of him. Eastern wind blows flowers and thousands of trees at night. It blows more and falls, and the stars are like rain. BMW carved cars are fragrant all over the road. The sound of the phoenix flute moves, the light of the jade pot turns, and the fish and dragon dance all night. The four people in the third class walked out of the gate of Tangshan Hot Spring, and all they saw were lights shining, and it was difficult to see shadows. From left to right, there are all kinds of stalls along the commercial street. There are barbecue, meatballs, fried rice and other delicacies, as well as souvenirs such as masks, dolls, wood carvings, jade and so on. There are actors on the stage, and the gods suppress the demons and win a lot of applause. There are entertainers playing hosen, and their behavior is vivid, and there are endless rewards on the plate. Walking through the crowds, you can see the distant mountains as hazy as splashed ink freehand paintings, the shadows of trees swaying in the autumn wind, and the pavilions and terraces are covered with blurred light and shadow, which is more hazy and dreamy than daytime. I ordered 3 dishes, you can order what you want. A special restaurant on the street. Tsunade took a picture of the menu in his hand, and woke up Uchiha Shinta, who was immersed in the scenery of Tankwan Township. Raw squid with wasabi. He read out the dishes that Tsunade had checked and couldn't help shouting. Why is there such a dark cuisine here? Next day, Uchiha Shinta and his group of 4 packed their bags and embarked on a journey back to Konoha. After 3 days on the way, they ate 2 rabbits, 1 wild bear, 1 young wild boar, 2 carp and 2 crucian carp picked up in the forest. These animals' game are very lively when they meet the third shift, and they are fragrant outside and tender inside on the barbecue grill. For their taste, Akamaiki Tingshu leads the way with a thumbs up. Boom! Tsunade raises his hand and throws out the kunai, and sticks the mission out voucher on the gate of Konoha village to increase the expenditure for the economic development of Konoha village. The third shift has returned from a mission, register. Yes, Master Tsunade. The 2 chunins who sat in front of the gate and stared wide-eyed quickly stood up, one took off the mission voucher, and the other quickly picked up a pen to write the message. The ninja's pursuit of strength has been engraved in the genes since the first strand of chakra was extracted. Since Tsunade broke through the restriction of the shadow level 4 years ago, she has a carefree temper, and she did not deliberately keep it secret. The oppressive feeling of chakra that she inadvertently revealed was naturally discovered by the ninjas in the village. Out of nowhere, even the jonin in the village who had been on equal footing before, as long as they were not particularly familiar with her, changed their address from Tsunade to Master Tsunade. Up and down, over the past few years, Tsunade's name in the village has been fixed as Master Tsunade. This is the village ninja's respect for power. Tsunade threw out the mission voucher, and after giving an order, he took Uchiha Shinta and the 3 of them and jumped directly to Hokage Rock. This mission is a capped sea-level mission, because the water monster, Red Giant Fish, has a strong combat power, and the reward is 100,000 taels. After deducting the 10% for the village, I will get 30% and the three of you will each get 20%. Mr. Tsunade, this is not fair to Shinta. I suggest taking 10% from me and giving it to him. The battle of this mission is basically handled by him, including the control of Red Giant Fish and the follow-up treat. Naradir gritted his teeth slightly, glanced at Uchiha Shinta who was walking beside him, and couldn't help but speak. Yes, Teacher Tsunade, I am the same, take 10% of my salary and give it to Shinta. Tsunade turned his head to look at Nara Lue and Akamaiki Dingshu, his eyes stopped them from continuing to speak. Just follow this arrangement. Last night, Shinta and I already discussed it. We are a team, but the division of tasks is different. Lu Wei is the think tank, Dingshu and Shinta are the combat power, and I am the class teacher and the medical patient. Everyone is indispensable, so we have made a rule on this, and our rewards for future tasks will be distributed according to this ratio. In the last sentence, Tsunade said it firmly, suppressing all the words of Lu Wei and Dingshu in his stomach. They had no choice but to look at Uchiha Shinta, only to see him looking back at each other with the same smile. You two should accept it. Tsunade is right. The average score in a team is naturally. If one day I run out of money, at worst, I'll pick up 2 tasks alone, or ask you to borrow it. Uchiha Shinta suddenly made a joke. You should lend it to me, right? Of course. Nara Lue and Akamaiki Dingshu in unison. The three looked at each other and smiled. Nara suddenly sent an invitation to Shinta. Shinta, come to our house for lunch in 2 days. The herbal food made by my mother is delicious. That's right, the dishes made by Aunt are delicious. And Shinta, you also want to come to my barbecue restaurant for dinner, I'll treat you. Hearing what Lu Wei said about the medicinal diet, Akamaiki Dingshu made a ji udong in his throat, and also sent out an invitation. Uchiha Shinta looked at the invitation sent by the 2 teammates, and the corners of his mouth curled up. Sure, I will definitely come then. But for Dingshu, you can start saving money. I still remember that the pocket money given by your family is yuyugong. Akamaiki Dingshu blushed suddenly, and kept defending his mouth. What did you say about pocket money? Is pocket money considered an expense? Pocket money is pocket money. He has a special skill of saving money. Pocket money can be earned back after it is spent, etc. If the words are difficult to understand, the third class is full of joy. Tsunade walked in front, listening to the quarrel behind her. She couldn't help but open up, and interjected to help them set the time. After the task is handed in, the third shift will rest for 2 days, and we will gather at the training ground the next morning. I will carry out intensive training for you. If there is anything to play, the treats can be in these 2 days. Akamaiki Dingshu hurriedly set a date to get rid of the teasing of Uchiha Shinta and Nara Lue. Then I'll treat you to lunch at noon tomorrow. Teacher Tsunade and Lu Wei come together. It's at the barbecue restaurant last time. Good. The 4 chatted all the way, and soon came to the Hokage building. Tsunade knocked on the door. Boom boom boom. Come in. The powerful voice of Sarutobi Hiruzen from 3rd generation Mu Xiaoyan Katakana middle. Sarutobi Hiruzen is heard. Teacher, our task is completed. Tsunade walked into Hokage's office, and handed the mission report written by Nara on the way to Hiruzen Sarutobi. 3rd generation raised his hand to take it, first glanced at the 3 people in the 3rd class, nodded to them, and then opened the mission report that was rolled into a roll. Let me take a look. It turns out to be an upgraded carp. But it's really rare to see it upgraded to this level. As the judgment of the 3rd class influenced by natural energy. He looked up at Tsunade. She nodded and explained. That fish is called the red giant fish by the villagers. It has grown at least 2 or 3 times in size in more than half a month, surpassing the size of the Hokage building. I also used Shadow Clone to dive into the water to check. There are no traces of other people's experiments. Tsunade takes a scroll from the ninja bag. After the red giant fish died, the meat was distributed to the villagers, but I took the remaining part of his heart and sealed it here. After that, I will try to conduct research in the hospital to see if I can find out the principle of its upgraded. 0. Seeking flowers. As she spoke, she sighed again. Unfortunately, red giant fish is not suitable to be a summoning beast because of its low IQ. Sarutobi Hiruzen chuckled, watching Tsunade's sigh. The research will trouble Tsunade, you can ask Orochimaru to help. He turned to look at Uchiha Shinta, smiling. Are there any plans after the third shift? We're going to take a break for 2 days. Tsunade didn't hide anything, and just revealed the itinerary that he and others discussed and decided. Retire tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, and start practicing the day after tomorrow. Third generation Sarutobi Hiruzen picked up the pipe on the shelf, knocked it, put it near his mouth, took a deep breath, and then let it out slowly. If Shinta-kun is free the afternoon after tomorrow, you can come here. I have something to talk to you in private. Master Hokage invites me, I am naturally free. Uchiha Shinta looked at third generation Sarutobi Hiruzen's piercing eyes, and nodded with a smile too. He saw a whole fan graph through Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes. Among them, there are 3 points of desire for fighting, 3 points of expectations for the future, 3 points of confidence and strength, and 1 point of uneasiness. After answering a few other questions from Sarutobi Hiruzen from third generation, Uchiha Shinta and the 4 walked out of the Hokage building. Under the cover of the body replacement technique field, even though Shinta had already reached the first floor, he could still clearly hear Hokage's office discussing that the Yuno country cult had been extinguished again. Nara Lu Wei suddenly raised his hand and tugged at his sleeve. Uchiha Shinta turned his head in doubt. Quote. Since Hokage-sama invites you to the office, be careful. Third generation Sama has the title of ninja, and according to my father, he is a very demanding person. And my family's medicated food banquet should be changed to the night after tomorrow. I invite teacher Tsunade and Ding Shu to come together. Nara Lu Wei saw that Sarutobi Hiruzen had a deep meaning in calling Shinta to go. In order not to delay Shinta's meeting with third Hokage because of visiting his house, the time was postponed until after the meeting. Uchiha Shinta burst into laughter. Don't worry, I will definitely arrive early for the medicinal banquet tonight. I have met Mr. Hokage many times, and I think he is a good talker. Nara feels something is wrong. It seems that there are many banners waving behind Uchiha Shinta in front of him, but if you look closely, there is nothing. After repeated several times, the hallucinations no longer appeared, so Lu Wei had no choice but to persuade Shinta again. Forget it, just be more careful yourself. Big people often hate others just because they hear a word that doesn't suit them. The owl will hate the harrier because of the rotten mouse, but it will always show humility in front of the kunpeng. Therefore, Master Hokage is still very kind. Uchiha Shinta waved his hands, bid farewell to Tsunade and Ding Shu, and walked towards the Konoha Shinobi School nearby. Uchiha Makoto is coming out of school soon, and he plans to give this little chess friend a surprise for a long time. Konoha Village. Ninja School. Oni sauce. Uchiha Makoto yelled in surprise. Just now, she and 3 girls in the same class walked out of the gate talking and laughing with the crowd after school, and the first time they saw Uchiha Shinta standing in front, they immediately jumped up and threw themselves into his arms. Uchiha Shinta opened his arms, caught Uchiha Makoto who was flying towards him, stood firmly and put her down gently, only to find that she was pushing him firmly and refused to let go. Shinta, who didn't want to forcefully break free, could only persuade softly. Makoto, you're not a 6-year-old anymore. Don't keep leaning on me like this. I don't care. Oni-chan, you've been out for a long time. You haven't come to see me. Although Uchiha Makoto knows that Shinta is on a mission, but a 9-year-old cutie wants to act like a baby, who can refuse? Shinta had to find other ways to divert her attention. He raised his head and looked around, and suddenly saw the 3 students who walked with Makoto in the 707, just now, standing not far away to watch the excitement. Shinta patted Makoto on the shoulder to signal her to get up. Aren't you going to introduce these classmates to me? I took you to school before, but I rarely saw them. Uchiha Makoto continued to bury his head in Shinta's chest, and there was a muffled sound coming from his nose being pressed. The one with the ponytail is Ling Hai, the one who likes to wear skirts is Harina, and the one with short hair is Yawa. They are all my classmates. When Oni-chan went to school with me every day, they were already good friends with me, but they left relatively late. Recently, Oni-chan is no longer there, and I'm always waiting for them to come home from school together. Rikai, Harina, and Miwa standing in a row next to each other looked at each other, and at the same time covered their mouths and let out a teasing laugh. Hey 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 hey. Rikai, the tallest girl, shook her head and swung her ponytail to take the lead in accusing Uchiha Makoto. Makoto, you friendly guy. Usually in school, you pester us every day to tell us how good your Shinta Oni sauce is. Now when I see your Oni-chan, throw us aside. Seeing Uchiha Makoto pretending to be dead and not responding, she tilted her head to look at Harina and Yawa, and spread her hands helplessly. Forget it, let's go back. Stay away from this black hair. Don't bother her to live a two-person world with her Oni-chan here either. Hey, that's right, let's go back first. Harina and Yawa covered their mouths and responded with a smile. Na Suzumi, Harina, Yawa, see you in the afternoon. Before the two laughed, Uchiha Makoto poked his head out of Shinta's arms, blinked at his three classmates, and urged them to leave as soon as possible. Ling Hai put her hands on her hips and stared at the cute Uchiha Makoto pretending to be angry. Uchiha Makoto, you fool, is your Oni-chan so important? Leave us completely behind. Are you still good sisters? Makoto shrank his head in fright from Ling Hai's yelling, and said flattering words, but his body still hid in Uchiha Shinta's arms and refused to come out. Of course Ling Hai and you are good sisters, but Oni-chan is the most important thing. Puff. Harina and Yawa laughed at the same time. Under Makoto's puzzled eyes, it was Harina who was wearing a plaid skirt and explained. We made a bet behind your back that after seeing your Oni-chan, Makoto, you will leave us immediately. But Ling Hai doesn't believe it, she insists that you will at least pull us together. As a result, with just one sentence from you, I won with Mihei. Ah, that's right. Uchiha Makoto let go of a hand holding Shinta, and reached out to Rakai, trying to keep the friendship. Ling Hai, I'm very sorry. Next time you tell me, I will definitely pull you along. Humph. The jiggling ponytail meets Makoto's smiling face. Don't be with you, the guy who betrayed our friendship. Oni-chan, wait for me. Uchiha Makoto finally let go of Shinta, raised his head and smiled at him, then ran up to Ling Hai with small steps, clasped his hands together. Ling Hai, I'm sorry. Isn't it that I haven't seen Shinta Oni-chan for a long time? That's why. Uchiha Makoto was comforting her good sister Rei. Here Harina took Miwa to Uchiha Shinta, and pointed at the three of them generously. I'm meeting you for the first time, my name is Harina, she is Miwa, and the one who is chatting with Makoto is called Ling Hai. You are Uchiha Shinta Senpai. The legendary, phantom-like man, and hard-hearted Uchiha, are the real body. Shinta is stunned. So hard-hearted, where do you come from? Harina looked at it and was about to be persuaded by Makoto, and said plausibly. At that time, Kiryu Wakana Senpai and Kuchiki Suzune Senpai were bruised for you during the graduation test, but you didn't respond to any of them. This is not Heart of Stone. What? Ha 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 ha. Uchiha Shinta lol. Sister Harina, this shouldn't be called hard-hearted, it should be called wisdom and bravery. I set an example for future ninja school students. Love is a matter for both parties. How can you ask the other party to respond because of the contribution of one party? He refers to Sarina as a metaphor. It's like two obese uncles like you at the same time, they beat you all over, do you have to respond to each other? This. Harina lost her fluent speech, bowed her head and thought hard. No matter how I think about it, I find that what Shinta said makes sense, but it is completely wrong with what I usually see and hear. Who would make such a metaphor? Harina, who was thinking about it, stomped her feet and looked up, but Uchiha Shinta, who was standing in front of her, was nowhere to be seen. Looking around, I found that he has walked to Makoto and Ling Hai, listening to their conversation with great interest. When did he pass by? You actually left aside the beautiful girl who was still talking. Harina swallowed the narcissistic words behind, and kept the image of a lady in a plaid skirt. Suddenly, he, who had been standing by the side, suddenly spoke, which startled her. Just when you lowered your head and thought. Ling Hai and Makoto have reconciled, and Shinta Senpai was also called by Makoto. So fast. Harina didn't care to complain about the shock Yawa gave her, and quickly turned her head to look. Uchiha Shinta and the three had already walked over. Ling Hai, Harina, and Yawa, I'm going back first. See you in class this afternoon. Makoto stood in front of the three and said goodbye to them with a serious face. Ling Hai, Zhao 0.0 Rina, Mahei and the three quickly corrected their colors and responded equally seriously. See you in class in the afternoon, Makoto. Uchiha Shinta took Makoto's hand and walked to the Uchiha clan's land. On the way, joyful voices kept spilling down the street corners. To thank Makoto for missing me so much, I'll take you to meet my teammates and the class teacher tomorrow, and eat barbecue by the way. Yeah, I like everything O'Neill invites. Go home at noon today. Your mother must have cooked the meal. Yeah, mom's cooking is delicious too. Come with Oni sauce. Okay. 10 minutes later. Boom boom boom. Uchiha Shinta knocks on Makoto's door. Squeak. Makoto's mother opened the door, looked up and was stunned for a moment. Shinta-kun, long time no see. Uchiha Makoto quickly ran into the room, took out a crystal glass ball from the bedside table, and held it up in front of Shinta with both hands. Look, Oni-chan. Uchiha Shinta took it and looked at it in front of his eyes. Inside it was an ultra-tiny island with green mountains and green waters, singing birds and fragrant flowers. There were waterfalls and strange rocks, fire phoenix real dragons, gray apes and white foxes. Isn't this the little gift I gave you last time? Is there any problem? He still remembers that he created this crystal ball imitating the mountain of flowers and fruits 3 years ago as a gift for Makoto to go to school for the first time. But she seems to have kept it at home after she accepted it, and I have never seen her take it out. Suddenly took it out today. Shinta couldn't help flipping the crystal ball twice, but didn't find any faults. Oni-chan, don't mess around. Uchiha Makoto watched Shinta's movements, fearing that he might break the seemingly fragile crystal ball. He reached out to catch it and put it down, jumping a little anxiously. The crystal ball is not broken. I just want to say that I really like the crystal ball that Ernie-chan gave me, and I take it out to look at it every day before going to bed. I observed carefully and found that the animals inside will keep moving and won't repeat themselves. Uchiha Shinta handed the imitation, Wagwoshin, to Makoto, and watched her take it carefully and put it back in the cabinet, wrapped in a layer of cotton. Makoto, you don't have to be so careful, the gift I gave you is very strong. It's harder than kunai. Makoto stood up and gave him a blank look, then pulled him to the backyard. How can such a beautiful crystal ball collide with something like kunai? It's only right to put it up and enjoy it. Oni-chan, let's go see Scared Deer, and play a game of shogi by the way. Uchiha Shinta suddenly became interested. Okay, I'm going to have a good fight with you today. 20 minutes later. It's time to eat. Makoto, you still have class in the afternoon. Makoto's mother's voice sounded in the dining room, urging the two to come over for lunch as soon as possible. Mom, wait a minute, we'll be done soon. Uchiha Makoto quickly pushed his last infantry forward, trying to surround Uchiha Shinta's king general. Shinta also jumped on the wildebeest and surrounded Makoto's generals. The two meet each other, will meet good talents, and are racing at the same time to see who can be the fastest. Smell, ha ha ha. Makoto, I still won this game. Our match is 98-26. Makoto, you still have to work hard. Uchiha Makoto pouted and looked at the chess pieces on the board, feeling very sorry for losing. I'm only 2 hands away. I just need to procrastinate, and I will be the first to encircle the jade. She put away the board with Uchiha Shinta, the dining room. Makoto's mother was already waiting at the dining table. She served soup for the two of them, and when they were seated, she added more ingredients to their bowls. Makoto, eat more. The 9-year-old little loli buried herself in cooking. Yeah, enough is enough. My bowl can't fit anymore. After Makoto's mother watched her eat a few bites, she added more soup. Eat more. Uchiha Makoto and Shinta feel again that parental love is often shown by keeping you fed. When Makoto was fed until his belly was round, he finally finished the food in the bowl. She put down the bowl and chopsticks, and suddenly clasped her hands together towards Uchiha Shinta. Oni-chan, I'm going to take a lunch break, why don't you come and tell me a story today? I'm giving mom a day off. Okay. Uchiha Shinta rubbed Makoto's hair and responded with a smile. He followed Makoto into the small bedroom, watched her blinking eyes after she lay down, and began to tell a story about the magic version of Yugong Yishin. Once upon a time, there was a ninja who came back from traveling and found that his village was trapped in the mountains. It was very inconvenient for the villagers to travel. He used Earth style to keep moving the rocks away, but he ran into a bandit hiding in Yamanaka. In the end, he finally defeated the bandits and dug through the mountain, so that the villagers' travel would no longer be blocked by the mountain. After Uchiha Shinta finished the story, looked at Makoto's steady breathing, smiled lightly and shook his head and stood up, walked out the door and gestured to Makoto's mother, asking her not to disturb Makoto's rest. Indoors, Uchiha Makoto opened his eyes, closed them again, and fell into a sweet dream. Noon the next day, Uchiha Shinta, who had a day off, came to the ninja school early, picked up Uchiha Makoto, and walked towards Konoha Yakiniku together. Shinta Oni-chan, what's the character of your class teacher Tsunade-sama and your two teammates? Do you hate me? Uchiha Makoto was walking on the way to the dinner party, and suddenly tugged on Shinta's sleeve worriedly. Ha 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 ha, Makoto, are you struggling with this? Don't worry, Tsunade, Lu Wei, and Ding Shu are all very good people. Tsunade, you can call her older sister. For Lu Wei and Ding Shu, you can call them seniors, they are also students of ninja school. Uchiha Shinta laughed and patted her on the shoulder as comfort, signaling her not to be nervous and to relax. And Makoto, you are so cute, how can anyone not like you? Ah, Oni-chan, too. Makoto blushed and asked in a low voice. Of course, I really like Makoto. Along the way, Uchiha Shinta chatted with Makoto about the interesting things that happened on campus recently. As a girl, Makoto's 8 trigrams nature knows a lot about these things, and the stories are vivid. From who gets embarrassing in an exam, to who has a weird nickname, to which teacher gets pissed off by students. While chatting, the two soon came to Akamaiki's barbecue restaurant. Since Akamaiki Tingshu had already decided on the location, Uchiha Shinta took Makoto and walked directly to the inner private room. After opening the door, the three of Tsunade are already grilling meat. Sorry, Makoto is a little late after school, I came here to pick her up. Shinta first apologized to Tsunade and others for being late, and then dragged Uchiha Makoto who was hiding behind him in front of him. This is Makoto, my little sister. Please take care of me from now on. Seeing the cute little loli pulled out by Shinta, Tsunade and others couldn't help but smile at the same time. Is this the younger sister of our family that you often take shopping with you? It's so cute. Tsunade held out his right hand to Uchiha Makoto, beckoning her to sit down next to him. Shinta points to the opening Tsunade introduction. This is Tsunade, you can sister Tsunade. Uchiha Makoto obediently stood beside Shinta, following his introduction to say hello. Hi, Sister Tsunade. Shinta points to Pineapple Head. This is Nara Luwei, you can call Luwei Senior. Uchiha Makoto has a crisp voice. Hi Senior Luwei. Shinta points to Chubby. This is Akamaiki Ding Shu, you can call him Senior Ding Shu. Today is Senior Ding Shu's treat. Uchiha Makoto has a sweet voice. Hello Senior Ding Shu. Tsunade and Nara Luwei, Akamaiki Ding Shu. After the response, Uchiha Shinta took Makoto and sat beside Tsunade. Because Shinta told Ding Shu yesterday that he would bring Makoto here, so Ding Shu booked a private room for 6 people. Sitting next to the door are Nara Luwei and Akamaiki Tingshu, and sitting opposite the door are Tsunade, Uchiha Shinta, and Uchiha Makoto. After sitting down, Uchiha Shinta habitually picks up slices of raw meat and arranges them neatly on the grill. Meanwhile, Tsunade watched the grilled meat in front of him get cooked, then picked up a slice of cumin beef and placed it in Uchiha Shinta's bowl. This is a very spicy yakiniku. Shinta, try it and see if it tastes good enough. Uchiha Makoto picked up the milk in his hand, took a sip, and listened to the conversation on the barbecue table with his ears pricked up, judging his teen relationship with Oni-chan. But she suddenly realized something was wrong. My own Oni-chan calls his class teacher by his first name, which is not respectful enough, but if Oni-chan is so powerful, who can be his teacher? But Tsunade even specially grilled meat according to the taste of Oni sauce. This relationship is combined with the name of Oni sauce on her. Uchiha Makoto big crisis. I didn't even know that Oni-chan likes spicy food. She was thinking about something in her heart, and her little head was spinning rapidly, looking for a way to suppress the woman in green on the opposite side, with a hint of hostility in her expression. Tsunade noticed and saw Uchiha Makoto pick up raw meat with chopsticks and put it on the grill, then glanced at himself, and called out to Uchiha Shinta softly. Oni-sauce, I'll help you grill the meat too. Tsunade's expression became a little playful. She is not ignorant of her idea of cheap disciples. Tsunade knocked on his bowl and turned to look at Uchiha Shinta. Shinta-kun, I want to eat your yakiniku. Shinta casually sprinkled yellow cumin and fiery red chili powder on the barbecue, and responded casually. Promised. It's not cooked yet. Just wait. Tsunade raised an eyebrow at Uchiha Makoto. But I want to eat now. Quote? Uchiha Shinta looked at Tsunade suspiciously, suspecting something wrong with her head. That's why she wants to eat raw food. Just as he was about to heal her with Yongdun, he suddenly felt his left arm being pulled, and turned his head to look at Uchiha Makoto, only to see her pouting and looking at him expectantly with star eyes. Oni-sauce, people want to eat your barbecue now. Shinta looked around, and finally confirmed that the two started to fight against each other for no reason, and couldn't help sighing. Oh, then I'll give it to you. He stretched out his chopsticks with his right hand and pinched them towards the barbecue. Halfway through, there was a double image between his hand and the chopsticks, but it was not caused by high-speed movement, but a stunt similar to Yan Wei, which allowed the chopsticks to appear in different spaces at the same time. Sprinkle the seasoning evenly with the left hand, and the chakra attached to the chopsticks performs the fire attribute nature transformation, so that the barbecue is cooked quickly and delicious. Ding! Two sounds of chopsticks and bowls colliding sounded at the same time, and the two double images of Uchiha Shinta merged into one. He ignored the angry eyes of Tsunade and Uchiha Makoto, and politely signaled them to eat. Uchiha Shinta pro roast beef, please use it slowly. Opposite, Nara Lue and Akamaiki Ding are buried in meat shopping. The doppelganger space boss is so terrifying, trembling. Uchiha Shinta's supernatural power resolved the fight on the surface, and Tsunade and Makoto restrained the confrontation in the dark, and it didn't start at this time. Therefore, even if the beginning is a bit strange, the whole barbecue is still a joy for both guests and hosts. Even when Akamaiki Dingshu paid with a smile, even if he took out the discount coupon issued by his home, after emptying his wallet, he deducted a quarter of his share in the barbecue restaurant next month, so that his smile was cut in half. Tsunade teacher, Shinta, Dingshu, remember to come to my house tomorrow night. My mother has prepared a delicious medicinal meal, waiting for everyone to come. And Makoto Elementary School girl, you can come too. A group of 5 people walked out of the barbecue shop door. The fresh air blew away the strong smell of spices in the barbecue shop. Nara Lue once again brought up yesterday's appointment, reminded Shinta and others to come to the appointment on time, and invited Uchiha Makoto by the way. Yeah, the 3 of Shinta nodded. Taking medicated food, it does still feel a little weird. Tsunade noticed that Makoto didn't make a sound, and after muttering something in a low voice, he walked around behind Shinta and patted her little shoulder. Little Makoto, come tomorrow with your Shinta Oni-chan. My name is Lue, and he prepares some sweet medicinal meals and normal dishes. Uchiha Makoto hesitated for a moment, but shook his head anyway. I still have class tomorrow, and my mother is still waiting for me at home, and I want to go home for dinner tonight. The crisp lowly noises came out, but Makoto was thinking of another reason in his heart. She remembered that her mother once said that to give men free time, you can't tie them tightly, this will scare men away. Therefore, although she really wanted to follow Uchiha Shinta, Makoto gritted her teeth and refused the invitation. However, she still put on a pitiful look and looked at Shinta with star eyes. Shinta Oni-chan, can you stay with me at noon today? It's still early, I don't want to go to school so early. Uchiha Shinta raised his hand and scratched between her eyebrows. Of course, I'll take you to the commercial street to see if there are any small gifts for you. Makoto secretly said, yeah, in his heart. My mother once said that while refusing a gift invitation from a man, you can ask him for compensation, so that you can get a good impression. Uchiha Shinta didn't pay attention to Makoto's carefulness that he was learning. He took her for a casual walk on the commercial street, bought some hair clips and other small toys, and went to the bookstore with him, bought a comic book for her, and brought a ninja version for himself, the Sharingan Sutra. Ever since he met the evil god Kamosh in the Tang dynasty, he became interested in the extraordinary history of the ninja world. And Buddhism, as the opponent of demons, is used to writing books. The ninja version of the Sharingan Sutra also focuses on breaking demons. Therefore, he bought a Buddhist scripture and read it as a storybook when he has free time, right? After visiting the bookstore, Uchiha Shinta estimated that it was almost time for class in the afternoon, so Uchiha Shinta took Makoto back to the ninja school, stood at the door and watched her walk into the class step by step. What a familiar scene. Shinta watched as the crowd swarmed in, drowning Makoto's figure, and sidled slightly to avoid a teenager running into the school. He couldn't help laughing a little, feeling the nostalgia for the past 4 years of ninja school career. Although it has only been a month since I graduated, time still seems to pass quickly. Going to school seems to be a long way away. Feeling that Einstein's sincerity and the theory of relativity do not deceive me, Uchiha Shinta strolled back home with a Buddhist scripture in his hand, leaned on the tatami mat and opened the story book in his hand to recite gently. That's what I heard. At that time, the Buddha was in Shiluo Raft City, only staying in the monastery, and there were 1,250 monks together. The Ninja World version of the Sharingan Sutra is quite interesting. Uchiha Shinta read, Buddha gave birth to Senju, suppressing the great demon. If you can't read a single thought, you will realize nothingness, and so on. As this, Buddha Senju, the host who saw Senju Hashirama fighting Uchiha Madara. And this, Wuda Kong Kong, is referring to the box of ultimate bliss. He twisted a peanut and put it in his mouth, complaining about the Buddhist scriptures in his hand. As the Sutra of Transcendent Time, a realistic version. I didn't see that person write an exaggerated point at all. Suddenly, Shinta stopped and looked downstairs through the triple wall. There is a guest coming. Boom boom boom. The wooden door was knocked. Uchiha Shinta put down the Buddhist scriptures in his hand, raised his feet and stepped like a phantom, and went straight to the door through the wall. Squeak. Clan Elder, long time no see. Shinta's voice and the sound of the door opening sounded at the same time, and passed to the ears of Uchiha Falcon outside the door, bringing a smile to his old face. Shinta, have you returned from your mission? How do you feel? He followed Uchiha Shinta's lead and walked into the living room, while caring about the completion of his mission. It's okay. I ran into a big fish during the mission, because the natural energy has been upgraded, and the meat quality is quite delicious. Shinta brewed the tea leaves with boiling water, and placed a cup in front of the two of them. I still have about 20 caddies of meat, specially reserved for you, the clan elder, and I will take it back to taste later. Ha ha ha, Shinta, you still think of me, the old man, during the mission. Then I'll be rude. Clan elder Uchiha Hayato laughed, accepted it directly without any politeness, and then said the true meaning of his arrival. Old man, although I am not strong enough, I still have some mission experience that I can pass on to you, so let's treat it as a reward. You must know that battles are easy, but people's hearts are unpredictable. AGCD, I wanted to tell you about the mission experience before. I thought you would do missions in the village for 2 or 3 weeks, so there is still enough time, you can take your time. Come, but I didn't expect you to leave the village on the 3rd day. Uchiha Shinta picked up the teacup and inhaled the steam to moisten his throat. As the recognized future of the Uchiha clan, I hope that he will not be polite in this kind of thing. Then please be old. Uchiha rubbed his chin with a smile, obviously very satisfied with Shinta's rudeness. To do a task, you must first understand the person who issued the task, and the information in the village cannot be all correct. Some task issuers may conceal or even falsify information due to various reasons such as too high a price and being threatened. Most of them can be found in the village, but there are 1 or 2 successful cases every few years. Just like before, the Kurama family took on a mission 2 years ago, which was to transport supplies to the country of birds. According to the information and the mission issuer, it is an ordinary food delivery, as long as the bandits on the road are prevented. However, what they didn't expect was that what the mission issuer privately transported was a piece of chakra metal, which was made into a carriage bearing. In order to reduce the remuneration, the task issuer concealed the facts, causing Chunin from the Kurama family to take over the task. However, they don't know that the news has long been leaked from the cronies of the mission issuer. The group of people were besieged and killed by a group of wandering ninjas in the territory of the Bird Kingdom, and the chakra metal was also taken away. Later, the village sent tracking ninjas to find this group of wandering ninjas. After investigating the memories in their minds, they found out the cause of the incident. At that time, the village stepped up the review of the task release, but it didn't show up for 2 years, and the review seemed to be relaxed again. So Shinta, you have to be careful with the task issuers, don't be fooled by their appearance. After he took a sip of tea, he continued to talk slowly. Secondly, be careful of the plots of hostile ninjas during missions. There are often ninjas from enemy countries who will use your goodwill or malice to guide your actions and achieve their goals. For example, there was a young man in the Uchiha clan 7 years ago. He went to the Land of Fire to serve as a guard. Uchiha Shinta adds tea to clan elder Uchiha Falconto. Although I feel that as a horizontal promotion party, I don't really use these experiences, but Uchiha is worthy of being an elder, entertaining and teaching, and the level of storytelling is comparable to his status. Shinta became obsessed with the Ninja Quest story and chatted away into the night without knowing it. Even the dinner was brought by the clan elder Uchiha Hayato to ask the black-clothed servant Uchiha Gen to bring it. After the meal, seeing that the sky was getting darker, Uchiha Shinta firmly rejected the idea of the clan elders to continue telling the ninja mission experience story and agreed to ask for advice next time. Shinta's house finally returned to calm. The entanglements in the world are so complicated, it is rare to be quiet. Uchiha Shinta cleaned up the desktop, went back to the room and looked at the ninja version of the Sharingan Sutra, thinking about what he saw in the afternoon. He couldn't help sighing. And many more. Perhaps, I can try thinking. Don't think about it, be quiet and quiet, combined with the effect of my body replacement technique, maybe it can really be detached. Shinta was taken aback by his sudden inspiration, but couldn't help thinking about its feasibility. Lying on the bed after washing, he finally couldn't help but turn on the body replacement technique mode. The domain covered the boundless space, and the internal affairs were clearly in his mind, and then he tried to clear the things in his mind. But obviously, his direction is wrong. Opening the body replacement technique is to achieve the material, nothing, and the spiritual, being. How can we achieve nothing, again in the mind? After struggling for half a night, he finally gave up. It's night. Uchiha Shinta got a good night's sleep. The next afternoon, Uchiha Shinta walked into the Hokage building with a yawn, thinking about philosophy is too brain-consuming. Let's read it as a story about the Buddha's conquest of demons. Boom boom boom. Uchiha Shinta knocks on Hokage's office door. Come in. The voice of Sarutobi Hiruzen from 3rd generation and the familiar sound of closing the drawer came from it immediately. Shinta opened the door as if nothing had happened, and went straight in to ask Sarutobi Hiruzen. Master Hokage, what do you want from me? Ahem, Shinta, you're here, I knew it was you just now when I heard the voice. 3rd generation let go of the big hand that was pressing on the top of the drawer, and coughed to greet Shinta to sit down. He didn't say anything specific, but instead cared about his daily life. How does it feel to be on the mission? Is there anything you don't like? Uchiha Shinta has a sense of déjà vu when he saw the clan elder Uchiha Falconto yesterday, but one came to the door by himself clan elder and the other was waiting for himself to come to the door 3rd generation project. Are you so good? Everyone is vying to show concern. Uchiha Shinta narcissistic face. JPG. It's okay, I met a big fish during the mission, I specially brought back 20 caddies of fish meat for you. As he had expected, he reached into his pocket, took out a recent signature gift, and handed it to Sarutobi Hiruzen. In Liu Village crossed out, which is now Grilled Fish Village, when he used wind style to divide the fish meat impregnated with natural energy, he specially left hundreds of caddies behind. At that time, he wanted to eat it by himself. Yesterday, the Uchiha family came to the door, and he discovered the use of this natural energy brand carp meat. In the ninja world, giving this kind of gift can be described as high-end, grand, and high-end. It's still a scorpion's poop, the only one, it's very easy to give, don't refuse it. Uchiha Shinta has planned to go to the nearest lake to find a carp after the fish meat is used up, give it a chakra of life evolution and physical growth, and infuse it with enough natural energy to super-evolve it into a fairy and upgraded carp king. Work hard on your own souvenirs. Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't realize that the gift in his hand was about to be assembled and mechanized, and the smile on his face became brighter and brighter. He flipped through the mission report, and naturally knew the special nature of fish meat, but he was even more happy that Shinta could remember him in the mission. The will of fire should bloom like this. Hee. Shinta, you are too inattentive during the task, and you still want to bring a gift to this old man. Don't be an example. Third generation took out his pipe and lit it, criticized with a smile, and then got to the point. I called you here today because I want to test you, see if you still have flaws and deficiencies in those areas, and help you make up for it. As the current Konoha village's second combat force, in my own opinion, Sarutobi Hiruzen is still quite confident in himself after removing the out-of-spec hacker Mito, the Vortex. In his opinion, Uchiha Shinta understands the will of fire better than himself. And in Konoha village, who can comprehend the will of fire and not yearn for it? You can disbelieve me Sarutobi Hiruzen, you can oppose me Sarutobi Hiruzen, but your fetters stay with Konoha, and you will eventually ignite yourself for the peace of the village and pass on the spirit of Konoha. Out of confidence in the will of fire that has been handed down by the third generation and has not yet been betrayed, Sarutobi Hiruzen has already planned to train Shinta to be the next god of ninja world up. There are countless seedlings in the huge leaves, and there will always be one that can grow into a big tree in the sky, blessing the prosperity of the village. Sarutobi Hiruzen from third generation looks at Shinta with a very meaningful look. As Hokage, the old man also has his own views on the key to the growth of ninjas. Normal genin, chunin, and even special jonin can all be developed from taijutsu, ninjutsu, illusion, tactics, etc., focusing on one aspect, so as to make great progress and enhance the ability to fight. However, after reaching the level of Jonin and Kage, the enemies and threats that ninjas face begin to vary, and the most important weight that affects your strength becomes your own shortcomings. Many famous ninjas left the field directly after being caught by the enemy's weakness. After taking a puff of smoke, third generation pushed away the chair and stood up, raised his hand and put the Hokage hat on his head on his desk. His whole body was in high spirits. Tsunade told me that you are very powerful, she can't test your shortcomings at all. Let the old man come and fight with you. Make up for your shortcomings and lay the foundation for your strongest achievements. Uchiha Shinta stood up, feeling nothing but sighed again. Am I going to beat the Kage level of Konoha village? Konoha village. Dead forest. There is bare loess on the flat open space, and occasionally there are scattered green grass struggling in it. Judging from the random fallen trees on the border of the forest not far away, it should have experienced ninja battles before, which led to the reappearance of thousands of square meters of land. With the cool wind blowing from the dark forest in the distance, Uchiha and Sarutobi Hiruzen of the third generation stand facing each other. Shinta, attack with the determination to kill me. Only between life and death can you see a ninja's shortcomings. I won't hold back. Third Hokage is wearing Hokage's exclusive royal robe, wearing a red and white hat, raising his hands and quickly forming seals, directly starting the duel. Earth-style earth flow river. The soil in front of him rolled rapidly, turning from yellow to black, sweeping everything along the road, and heading towards Uchiha Shinta like a mudslide. Uchiha Shinta jumped up, dodged the impact under his feet, and fell to the side like a leaf. The secret of ninjutsu is to keep the distance. Give yourself enough time to seal. Sarutobi Hiruzen connects his hands into an afterimage, and teaches Uchiha Shinta the essentials of ninjutsu-style battles while making mudras. Earth-style Earth Dragon Bullet. Fire-style Dragon Ball. Compound Ninja. Earth Dragon Flame Style. The original Earth-Fire Dragon Bullet is to create a huge Earth-Fire Dragon, which hits the opponent directly. The Earth Dragon Bullet, modified by Sarutobi Hiruzen, raised a dragon's head from the soil at his side, and spewed out overwhelming high-speed mud balls in the direction of Shinta. The attached flame, all the mud balls were burnt red. It's like a meteorite meteor, flying horizontally towards Uchiha Shinta tens of meters away, completely sealing off his dodging space. Boom, 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 boom. The red mud balls smashed into big holes. Violent smoke and dust rose from Shinta's side, engulfing his figure. Sarutobi Hiruzen vaguely saw several red flame mud balls passing through Shinta's body. Sarutobi Hiruzen's heart skipped a beat, and the seal in his hand almost stopped, but his strong psychological quality allowed him to suppress the worries in his heart, and his hands continued to flash. Fire-style Fire Dragon Flame Bullet. His chest swelled high, and then he blew forward forcefully. A line of fire spewed out from his mouth, rising against the wind and becoming a huge stream of flames tens of meters away, surrounded by smoke and dust where Uchiha Shinta was located on 3 sides, front, left, and right. The blazing flames reflected Sarutobi Hiruzen's spitting expression red. He was a little disturbed by Uchiha Shinta's lack of movement, and the worry on his face was undisguised. If it's you, Shinta, there must be no problem. Sarutobi Hiruzen sensed the still vigorous chakra ahead, and thought to himself. Sure enough, before the flames dissipated, the emotion of Uchiha Shinta like a jade beating was clearly heard in the flames. Hokage-sama is indeed an experienced ninja. Fire style and earth style are strong and powerful. The fire wire in Sarutobi Hiruzen's mouth gradually becomes smaller until it goes out. What came into his eyes was a transparent crystal-glazed wall, which completely wrapped around Uchiha Shinta. Outside it was a series of meteorite-shaped craters, covering a radius of 100 meters. Inside, there was no damage at all. You could even see the sprouts at Uchiha Shinta's feet. Uchiha Shinta passed through the crystal glass wall like a phantom, and stepped on the steaming ground. Master Hokage, please taste my ninjutsu. He clasped his hands together to form a seal symbolically. Fire-style dragon fire technique. A colorless fire dragon spit out from the mouth of Uchiha Shinta. Its shape can only be vaguely seen from the air fluctuations around it. It has 5 claws, about 100 meters long, circles around Sarutobi Hiruzen and rushes forward. Third Hokage is facing a big enemy, and his hands quickly form seals. Earth-style earth flow wall. Water-style water barrier. Compound ninja law water and earth city wall. The monstrous huge waves and large rocks rose from the ground to the sky, and were rushed by the colorless fire dragon, and turned into nothingness. In the reflection of Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes, an invisible fire dragon ignores everything and rushes straight at him. The camera zooms out, and on a tall tree not far away, Uchiha Shinta's main body sits on the treetop in the form of chakra absorption, watching third generation's merciless attack, and his avatar retaliates with color. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen leaned forward, keeping his hands in a mudra posture, with 2 drops of cold sweat dripping from his forehead under his feet. From his point of view, from where Fang Yu Zibo Shinta was in front, to his front, a semicircular gully with a diameter of about 10 meters was formed out of thin air, and when it reached his front, it formed a half-meter around him a circle. Within the range of this gully, no matter it is the ground, the dust, or even the rock walls and huge water flow created by ninjutsu just now, they were all silently wiped away by the invisible fire dragon. The world is like a picture scroll, drawn with a straight line and a circle by the gods and men in the sky with thick ink. The things outside the circle are unscathed, and the things inside the circle are intact. Roar. The low-pitched dragon roar rang in Sarutobi Hiruzen's ears from time to time, indicating that the colorless fire dragon was still circling around, and the unrivaled sense of crisis coming from all around made him even more afraid to move. Cross that line and die. Only then did he realize that the concentration he had tempered for half his life was easily broken in the face of this kind of terror that surpassed ordinary people. After being stunned for a while, Sarutobi Hiruzen tried his best to focus his attention away from the invisible fire dragon hovering in the circular ravine on the side and focus on the former Fang Yu Zibo Shinta. With this level of art, Shinta, have you really not activated Mangekyo? He looked into Shinta's eyes, shook his head with a wry smile and put away the seals of his hands. I've only heard of the legendary Mangekyo Amaterasu, which has the temperature of the sun's surface and can burn everything. But your flame. He took out a kunai from the ninja tool bag, separated out a shadow clone and stabbed it tentatively towards the ravine around him. Hiss. There was a slight gasification sound. I saw that the tip of the kunai directly above the semicircular ravine directly turned into nothingness, but Sarutobi Hiruzen's shadow clone didn't feel the heat at all. Afterwards, shadow clone took the kunai and slid in the air, testing the range affected by this technique. Is it the shape of a cylindrical pipe centered on that fire dragon? Although I have seen this level of control, I still can't believe it. Boom. A puff of white smoke dispersed. Sarutobi Hiruzen unsealed the shadow clone, and took the remaining half of the kunai and put it back into the ninja bag. There is no need to test ninjutsu anymore. Your jutsu nature transformation is beyond my imagination. Shinta-kun, your talent for anti-skills is really powerful. This can already be regarded as a forbidden technique at the level of destroying the country. Clatter. Uchiha Shinta snapped his fingers, and the transparent fire dragon flying around Sarutobi Hiruzen let out an invisible roar, and then disappeared without a sound along with the invisible heat in the ravine. There, Hokage-sama, thank you. He smiled back at Sarutobi Hiruzen's bragging from third generation, but he couldn't agree more with his words. There are some countries that cannot be destroyed with this fire style alone. For example, Holy Terra, White Land and so on. Holy Terra, the White Land, feeling the disappearance of danger around Sarutobi Hiruzen, from lingering fear to a question mark, it took the time for Uchiha Shinta to say a word in an instant. Haha, I was just joking, Lord Hokage don't care, these are the kingdoms in the novel. Sensing his doubts, Shinta waved his hand and signaled to pass it off. Then, Uchiha Shinta asked with interest. Is the next one physical or illusion? Sarutobi Hiruzen is hesitant. As for taijutsu, according to what Tsunade said before, Uchiha Shinta possesses cage-level taijutsu strength, and it belongs to the stronger category. Tsunade is so strong. Sarutobi Hiruzen is trying to maintain the majesty of the teacher in thinking. For illusion, according to what Orochimaru said, you can use the 3 hooks to completely confine him in the illusion space, and you can't get rid of it even after life and death stimulation, and there is real damage. At this stage, illusion has completely got rid of the weakness of combat powerlessness. There is no flaw at all. Thinking of this, Sarutobi Hiruzen suddenly felt that something was wrong. Ninja, body, and magic are complete, isn't this the ninja connection enhanced version? The old man has a successor. Uchiha Shinta looked at third Hokage in front of him, his expression changed from entangled to excited at the speed of light. He didn't activate the mind-reading skill, he didn't know what Sarutobi Hiruzen was thinking. Just thinking, if the third generation suddenly suffers from a mental illness here, should I give him a body technique strange power memory erasing punch? Uchiha Shinta is confident in his save skills. He tried it, as long as he uses the body technique strange power, that involves the concept of time to reverse time, and if he intervenes and does not force the memory to be retained, the person who was punched will not remember anything because he has never experienced it on the timeline. Nawaki is very experienced in this, although he can't remember anything. Ahem, let's try physical skills first. Sarutobi Hiruzen coughed twice, reminding Uchiha Shinta not to look at himself with the eyes of a rare beast, making him think that might wearing that strange green skin is standing beside him. As third Hokage, he will never admit that he sees the ninjas in the village with colored glasses. I swear, by third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen without glasses. Taijutsu is to directly attack the enemy physically with the body. Normal taijutsu has a fatal shortcoming of too short attack distance, and powerful taijutsu ninjas will use various means to overcome it. Sarutobi Hiruzen bit his finger, bent down and pressed to the ground. Summoning. Boom. Taoist runes walked on the ground, forming circles of special patterns, and then there was a bang, white smoke rose everywhere, and an ape about 1.9 meters tall appeared beside Sarutobi Hiruzen. Looks like it's a head taller than him. Is there another fight? Sarutobi. This ape has red skin, pale hair, dressed in a tiger skin suit, and a Konoha forehead protector on his head. As soon as he appears, he takes a step forward and stands in front of Sarutobi Hiruzen. Third generation patted it on the shoulder, indicating not to be too nervous. Ape Demon, this is Tsunade's disciple, Uchiha Shinta. Not an enemy. We're going to practice gymnastics now, so we're calling you out. The Ape King, the Ape Demon, hesitated for a moment, and retreated to Sarutobi Hiruzen's side, but looking at the jade-skinned young man in front of him, he couldn't help reminding his summoning partner again. Sarutobi, you have to be careful. My wild intuition has never felt such a sense of danger, as if as long as I stand here, my indestructible body will be destroyed. This feeling, quote, it's completely inhuman. The ape demon looked at Uchiha Shinta's gaze, tried to speak twice, but swallowed the last sentence. However, it suddenly glanced to the right side suspiciously, and after finding nothing there, it turned to Fang Yuzebo Shinta in front of it again, keeping vigilance all the time. I almost discovered my flowing water ninjutsu Kyoka Suigetsu. This ape demon is a little tricky. Could this be the legendary ape-like intuition special attack mind ape? On the right side of the monkey demon, Uchiha Shinta, who is leaning against the treetop, is a little surprised. But in an instant, he put it down again, and continued to lean against the treetop. If you can't look at me directly, how can you fight me? Ape Demon, what you sensed should be a ninjutsu released by Shinta just now, which has the ability to destroy all matter. But what we're testing now is taijutsu. Sarutobi Hiruzen comforts his summoning beast, unaware that what the ape demon feels is the most real situation. Uchiha Shinta is a great horror. However, soon he will be able to appreciate the blow of genius. After Sarutobi Hiruzen appeased the monkey demon, he opened his mouth to Uchiha Shinta and continued the physical examination. As we said just now, powerful taijutsu ninjas will use means to overcome the shortcoming of attack distance. Some strong taijutsu use ninjutsu with cover to approach the enemy, and then use taijutsu to suppress and defeat the enemy, such as the combination of Ino Shikacho. Some strong taijutsu use special ninjutsu to enhance their speed or attack strength, fight against ninjutsu, and then forcefully approach the enemy, such as Third Raikage and Tsunade. There are also some strong physical arts, who use special means to extend the attack distance, and can directly attack the enemy from a distance, such as the Old Man. Saying that, Sarutobi Hiruzen threw his Hokage hat and imperial robe to the right and rear, stretched out his right hand, and shouted. Ape Demon, Vajra Wishful Stick, understood, transform. The Ape King, the Ape Demon, jumped up, opened his hands, and turned into a cloud of white smoke with a bang, from which flew out a stick with gold yellow at both ends and pure black in the middle. The mature Sarutobi Hiruzen took it, danced around a few times, and pointed at Uchiha Shinta in high spirits. Shinta, you can follow the three paths in the future. Whether it is to use the fire attribute forbidden technique to cover, or use the fire attribute nature transformation to create ninjutsu, or find a way to extend the attack distance. I will help you find the way later. However, it's a pure martial art duel now, and weapons are used at most. Are you ready? Uchiha Shinta is posing, smiling, with his left hand behind his back, his right hand stretched forward, and Sarutobi Hiruzen can pay tribute. Kyoka Suigetsu Thousand Crane Dance. Please advise. It is good. Sarutobi Hiruzen swung the Vajra stick backwards, pouring chakra into his whole body, leaning over and rushing towards Uchiha Shinta. Uchiha Shinta stood still, watching Sarutobi Hiruzen rushing towards Sarutobi Hiruzen in the semicircular gully, borrowing his strength left and right, and when he was approaching, he suddenly jumped up, and swung the Vajra Rui stick that had been dragging behind him with the momentum. The golden club head became bigger and bigger before his eyes, and when it reached the front, the diameter was over 1 meter, completely covering Sarutobi Hiruzen's figure. Third Hokage decides to take revenge on physical arts. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.